Mariners spring training on Root Sports is presented by Magic Toyota, right on Highway 99 in Edmonds.
Oh, as hard as it is to say goodbye, the Mariners must say goodbye to the desert, the sunshine, and the reasonable temperatures. Close out Cactus League play. It's the Mariners and the Colorado Rockies from Salt River Fields in Scottsdale, Arizona. Welcome, everybody. Angie Bentank here along with our baseball analyst, Dave Valley. And then there was one, folks, one last dress rehearsal. What would you like to see happen today?
You know, the last day of spring training, you want to see everybody get off the field healthy. You'd like to see Marco Gonzalez have another strong outing, and Ichiro maybe get 3 at-bats today and get him ready for Thursday. All
right, so to get us set, we connect with the guys that will call it: Drew Goodman, Mike Blowers, and Jeff Hewson.
All right, Angie, thank you very much. Yes, the curtain will close on spring training 2018 after this little ball game today between the Mariners and the Rockies. I have Mike Blowers and Jeff Hewson with me. Jeff, I'll begin with you. This is the time of year players are really excited about leaving Scottsdale, even though when they arrived 6-8 weeks ago, they were really excited.
Yeah, it's a different vibe today, going into the locker room, watching some batting practice. Guys are anxious to get this over with, this game today, and move on to Thursday. But this whole 6 weeks of spring training is one of those dynamics for a player where you come in with so much energy, but towards the end, you're like, okay, I'm done with it, I'm out.
All right, Blow, I'll ask you first, and then same question for Huey. Have the Mariners done what they had set out to do over the last 6 to 8 weeks?
That's a great question, because I think if you look at the Mariners and the way camp has gone this year with all the injuries, you can look at the lineup, even a few of the pitchers. I think that Scott Service would like to have seen the guys get a few more at-bats, but the good news is most of them are veteran guys, so they know how to get prepared. So I think overall, yes, they've made some adjustments to their bullpen too. I think right now Scott just wants to get these guys out of here healthy and start the season.
Huey, same deal.
Well, I think for the Rockies, there weren't many questions coming into the season. What's going to happen? I think it all comes down to really your bench guys, because the rotation was pretty much set. Maybe for, say, one guy, the bullpen definitely was set with all the acquisitions in the offseason, but a few bench guys were revealed to us earlier today, more tomorrow. But I think they did. I think they got all the work in, and they're ready to go.
Number one element today: stay healthy, stay healthy, stay healthy. We feel like we're pretty healthy. Angie, I know you're very healthy. Let's send it back to you in our Northwest studios.
All right, Drew, getting there anyway. As we check in on our Lexus pitching matchup today, it is the final tune-up before the regular season for both pitchers. Chad Bettis gets the start for the Rockies, while Marco Gonzalez gets the ball for the Mariners. And Dave, we knew we needed to see Marco take this opportunity to run with it this spring, and really, it's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, he has. He's had 21 innings, and he has been by far the most impressive pitcher in Mariners camp this year. We saw his numbers of 1.69 ERA. The whip was 1.03, and opponents are hitting only 205 against the left-hander. Now, remember, he's a couple years removed from Tommy John. His velocity is starting to tick upward. He's added a cutter, which I think has been very effective for Marco this spring training, and hopefully he can finish out strong here today and take that into the season. He'll be a great spot to be that number 4 starter for the Seattle Mariners.
Yeah, and I love where he is slated to pitch April 3rd, interleague play against the Giants. We know he's a fantastic athlete and played out in the field for Gonzaga, so it'll be interesting to see him hit and run as well. Experience, folks, the excitement of tradition of opening night at Safeco Field Thursday, March 29th. You can enjoy fireworks and red carpet introductions, as well as, welcome back, Robinson Cano, Nelson Cruz, and your favorite Mariners. Plus, it's your first chance to see the newest Mariner, D. Gordon. Visit Mariners.com for tickets. And we're still not sure if Ichiro will be healthy enough and ready to make a start on Thursday, but he is in the lineup today. First pitch between the Mariners and the Rockies in the final Cactus League game of spring is coming up in just a few minutes. Quorum's Puyallup Nissan. Car buying as easy as Sunday morning. And by Safeco Insurance. Find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. Getting ready for the Mariners and the Colorado Rockies. But back here in the Northwest, everybody knows that Safeco, but really it's known throughout the league, for its top-notch food and, of course, the grasshoppers. But the spread just continues to get better every year. Make sure to try some of the new concession items like Din Tai Fung and Jack's Barbecue, and of course, all of Chef Ethan Stoll's creations. There's even a new lobster roll on the menu this season. You get to make your own donuts, sprinkle bacon on whatever glaze you want. I don't know
whipped cream?
Which one of those.
I love whipped cream.
I think they have
waffles,
to have
on
with
donuts,
sprinkles, exactly.
But you get to choose your own, right?
Yeah, you can put anything on there at all. What are you looking forward to the most?
You know, I don't discriminate against food, so I think all of those different things that we saw there, I will find a way to get a bite and a taste of every single one of them. With all the nights that we spend there, Ange, we have plenty of evenings to go out and explore some of the incredible culinary delights that Safeco Field has.
Yeah, Din Tai Fung. I can't wait to hit that one. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. All right, hey, for the Colorado Rockies, Bud Black's going to do this. Send Charlie Blackman out, leading off and in center field. They've got their all-star third baseman, batting third, Trevor Story, Cargo, and Chris Ionetta will be doing the catching, the former Mariner. For your Seattle Mariners, Ichiro leading off, followed by Gene Segura, Haniger, Ryan Healy. This is interesting to see Daniel Vogelbach in there, Mike Margema, Andrew Romine, and Taylor Motter. So a lot of the regulars not in there and giving these guys a chance. All right, let's get you down to Scottsdale and connect with Drew Goodman.
It is a gorgeous day for the finale of Spring Training 2018. The Rockies and Seattle Mariners. The Rockies get to stay put. Seattle, they're going to get on a plane, Mike Blowers, right after the ball game and head to the Pacific Northwest where you guys will open the season against the Cleveland Indians, huh?
Yeah, and the guys are really looking forward to it. We talked about it earlier. They've had to go through a bunch of injuries, a lot of changes, but so on that end, it's been a difficult spring for Scott Service and his crew, but I think he's ready to have these guys go. Right now, the only thing we're looking at today is Ichiro. He's had a calf injury in the lineup today. He'll probably play 7 innings.
And Huey, it's kind of nice, I think, for the players. It's not a big transition. They'll change hotels today, but that's about it.
Yeah, and you look at that, it makes it a lot easier when you're even going into spring training, what you're going to do, because you know you open up just right down the road, so it's just a hotel change. It's not like, okay, I got to pack for this, I got to pack for that, ship some stuff here, do a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, it works kind of nicely. The Rockies had that situation a couple of years ago as well. Chad Bettis will get about 45, 50 pitches in today, and then he'll take it to the house. Chad will be pitching in the, looks like in the 4th slot for the Rockies this year, and we'll get to the opening series and how the Rockies will align on the mound in a moment. Those are the numbers for Chad. He's been really good in his last 2 outings, as you'd like to be. You want to build up, getting close to the end of spring. And look who's batting leadoff, Mike. It's throwback afternoon for the Mariners. There's Ichiro.
Yeah, they're excited to have him back. It's a big day for him today. We mentioned the calf and the injury that he had there. He was also hit in the back of the head with a fastball a couple of days ago, down in a minor league game after he was 2 for 2 in that outing. So hopefully things will go well for him today. I think 7 innings, probably 3 or 4 at-bats is what he's going to see.
Just looks natural to see him back in a Mariners uniform, though.
There are players that are like that, aren't there?
Yeah,
and
right.
He definitely is one of them.
The other thing that's amazing about Ichiro, he's 44 and he takes strike 3 there. The body, Mike, you've known him for a long time. The body hasn't changed at all.
No, he takes great care of himself. And the goal when he was signed back with the Mariners was to have him play quite a bit, especially the first month and a half, 2 months, waiting for Ben Gamble to get back. He and Heredia will be in left field. I think for the most part, Scott Service said he'll probably hit 9th in the lineup. But, yeah, it's great to have him back.
And Ichiro, immensely popular wherever he goes. There's a slider for a strike to Gene Segura. This is a really good hitter, Gene Segura. And he knows the desert well. He played for Arizona. Chad Bettis pumping the strike zone,
This is what you want on the last day of spring training, the old speed-up rule. Let's go. Throw strikes, swing the bat.
And Chad always works quickly. 0-2, and that fastball is the first pitch he has missed with, just off the plate, 1-2.
Yeah,
on Segura.
yeah, this is the guy you want on the hill on the very last
getaway
game
day?
on getaway day.
And the guy, and this is a great player, but it's the first name that comes to mind. You tell Joey Votto, listen, I know what you normally do, and you set up a picnic lunch at the plate. Not today, right?
He's probably not in the lineup today.
Yeah, probably not. 1 and 2 coming up on Segura, and he's able to get a piece. Good crowd, great crowd. I'm looking out in the
sold out.
Yep, the berm is all filled up. It's kind of strange. I'm still getting used to this new schedule. And fellas, we were talking about this a week and a half ago when we worked together. You know, this is still spring break for the kids, so you assume it's still spring training, and yet here it is early in the week, and teams are departing. And on Thursday, everybody in Major League Baseball opens up, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
I think it's a great thing. I love that. I'm happy for the Mariners this year. It's been a while, but they're going to open up at home. A little bit strange, though. It's strange to have that day off on Friday. But they're also doing quite a bit of that just because of weather concerns. Obviously, at Safeco, we have the roof, and it's not a big deal, but it's nice to be able to open up at home.
For the Rockies, they have Sunday off, which is strange. I've never had a Sunday off in pro ball.
In your baseball life.
Never.
Yeah,
that wasn't a rain out.
Yeah, forget pro ball.
Sundays,
T-ball you play.
Yeah.
Little League you play. Babe Ruth League, Musial League, you always play on
because that's
Sunday.
why I thought when I saw the schedule, I was like, okay, they got 4 in Arizona and then 4 in San Diego. And somebody said, no, there's only 7 games. I said, well, wait a second, what?
Yeah.
When's our day off? They said Sunday. I was like, oh.
Bizarre.
Okay.
3-2 on Segura, and that was held by Chris Iannetta. 2 outs as we take a look at the Rockies' gloves. In the outfield, this looks like it will be the opening day lineup. Cargo will be in right, Charlie naturally in center, and Gerardo Parra will be in left field. Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, and Desmond. Ian Desmond initially in spring training was playing a lot of outfield. Once Cargo came back to the club, he has spent most of his time on the dirt. Chris Iannetta, in his second tour with the Rockies, will be behind the plate. So there's Cinco out there in right field. 0-1 on Mitch Haniger, and that pitch just misses. Nelson Cruz, just to update some of the Rockies fans, because the Rockies will play Seattle this year. When we last saw you, Nelson hit a ball, I think, off the right field wall and only got to first base, and he pulled up with a, I think it looked like a quad injury.
Yeah, it was. It was second or third step out of the batter's box, and he came out of the game right after that. After he reached first base, but he's been back in the lineup. He's taking it pretty easy. As you mentioned, when he puts the ball in play, he's not running real hard right now because the main goal is to get him healthy. Talked about it earlier. It's been a rough spring for the Mariners across the board. Haniger missed some time. We just saw Segura with a thumb injury. We talked about Ichiro. Cano had the hamstring. It was tough. In fact, the other day was the first time we saw what was going to look like the regular Mariner lineup. And that's the first time Scott has been able to put it together just because of all the injuries the guys have had. But everybody's healthy, and that's why today's important. Just get out of here healthy and start the season.
Yeah, you're saying it. I'll reiterate what Jeff Bridett said to us on Sunday when he joined us, the Rockies general manager. He has close to sleepless nights this time of year because all he's concerned about is guys staying healthy, not getting a text from a backfield or something like that. High fly ball to Cargo in right. Good start for Chad Bettis, and we'll see the Rockies on offense when we come back to Salt River Fields at Talking Stick. As it should be, a glorious final day in spring training for the Rockies and Mariners as we go to the bottom of the first inning with Mike Blowers, Jeff Houston. I'm Drew Goodman. And an old friend's on the hill, Marco Gonzalez from Rocky Mountain High School at Fort Collins, where he had a gorgeous high school career. Was signee of Gonzaga, and out of Gonzaga he signed as a high draft pick with the St. Louis Cardinals, now on to the Seattle Mariners, and he's had a nice spring, and he'll be in that rotation.
See that by the numbers. Originally he was going to fight for the number 5 spot in the rotation. Right now he's number 4. The Mariners won't need a 5th starter until, I believe Scott Service was saying, April 11th, but he has really had an exceptional spring, throwing a lot of strikes, healthy again, which is a big key for him. His fastball has been 92 to 94 this spring, and using his cutter quite a bit to set up the great changeup.
He's always been a very cerebral pitcher as well. Low target, and it's 1-1.
You were mentioning what a good athlete he is. We were laughing the other day. I was having a conversation with him, and I think he's going to get his start against the Giants in San Francisco. He's looking forward to swinging the bat.
I bet he is. He's always been able to change speeds. Even going back to high school, he pitched, you remember, he pitched with such high aptitude for a 17-year-old kid.
Well, and you look at him at Rocky Mountain High, I mean, he's on the hill when they go for the state championship as a freshman. Right. I mean, that kind of tells you what kind of smarts he has, the pitchability, all of that. And, of course, the Rockies saw him when he was with St. Louis.
Yep.
He pitched at Coors Field when he was with the Cardinals against the Rockies.
And his dad in the Rockies organization. 1-2, and it's fouled off. You notice we showed you that the Mariners, when it got to 2 strikes, put a shift on it, put Segura over on the right side. You seen a lot of this this spring, Mike?
Yeah, they do it quite a bit, and I think most of the time it's for practice. They want the guys to get used to being in those different defensive setups that they're in. They're obviously not following a lot of scouting reports on it here in spring training, but during the season they will move the defense around a lot.
Charlie battling away. We always talk about his focus. It doesn't matter whether it's June, July, August, or March 27th. I saw him briefly coming into the dugout this afternoon, and you would have thought he was getting ready to play a playoff game.
And he's one of those rare breeds, too, that during batting practice in spring training, guys will wear a multitude of BP tops. A lot of them have a sweatshirt on or cut off sweatshirt. Charlie's unied up. He's straight up BP. He's ready to go.
He's amazing, really is. 1-2, and this is in the air to center field, pretty deep. Heredia going back. Guess what? Charlie hits one off the very top of the fence, and he's going to stride into third with a triple, of which, yeah, take it easy, he had 14 of those last year.
Well, that's the ability of Charlie, you know, even with 2 strikes, to hit the ball to center field, stay on it. He fouled a couple of tough pitches off for Marco, and then he gets a slider down and away from him, and he stays through that. Charlie uses his lower half so much better later on in his career than he did early, just like a lot of hitters will, but then off the wall. And then we were joking, saying easy, going around second base, just
right.
Trot into third.
I tell you what, I didn't think that pitch, Mike, was that bad a pitch.
No, it's a pretty good pitch, and I think that Marco will realize that when he takes a look at it. It's a pretty good pitch, but a very good hitter.
Speaking of good hitters, here's another former batting champion in DJ, and he fouls that pitch off. To me, that was maybe the most remarkable thing, or one of the most remarkable things about Blackmon last year, and we've talked about this before, the fact that he played 159 games in center field. This will get the job done, and the Rockies take a 1-0 lead. As cavernous as the Ponderosa is at Coors Field and playing at altitude, just remarkable that he was out there that many times. So good start. And Nolan steps up with 1 out and a run in. Arenado on the backfield a couple days ago launched another home run. Huey, I think this is a nice benefit for the Rockies in that they're facing Marco Gonzalez, a left-hander, because on Thursday night they're going to face Patrick Corbin, an elite left-hander, and on Friday night they're going to face Robbie Ray, another elite left-hander. So to have a lefty go on Tuesday is probably a pretty good thing.
Well, because the lineup too is going to play out like it will for those first 2 nights for the Rockies.
Heredia puts it away in center field. 2 gone. That'll bring up Trevor Story. And here are the probables for Buddy Black as he matches wits with Troy Lavello and Arizona. John Gray, who was announced today for the 2nd straight year, will have the baseball to open things up on Thursday. Then Tyler Anderson, he'll go in game 2, and Herman Marquez will go in game 3. And you see Greinke's been pushed back because he's been dealing with I think it was a little bit of a groin issue, right?
Yes.
I'm really proud of you, Mike, because you've been able to keep all of your injuries. You know, you have the injuries right for each guy. You remember who had the elbow, who had the groin, who had the hamstring. And you've been challenged this year.
I have been. There have been too many of them, and I'm sure that Scott Service feels the same way. He was actually chuckling about it the other day. But the good news, to your point too, Jeff, you talk about injuries late in camp. A lot of them, leg injuries and things like that, happened early in camp, so they had time with Cano and Cruz, and even Segura with his thumb when he tried to make a play, he hurt his thumb. You have that time to get yourself healthy before the season starts.
Well, knock on wood too, they weren't big-time injuries.
No.
I know, probably the scariest one you guys had was the line drive off of Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, early in camp. It took him a little bit longer, but fortunately he's good to go. So he'll be the opening day starter
for the 437th time.
It's 10th straight for him, I think.
I believe
right?
it is, yes.
11th overall.
Yeah, and he looked pretty good in his last outing. So
2-1, that's fouled off. See what Gonzalez does, even behind in the count. 2-0, you got to change up. 2-1, you go off speed again. And this will be the opening matchups, at least as it looks right now. King Felix against Corey Kluber, who's as good as it gets in baseball. Indians deep on the hill. Carlos Carrasco against James Paxton. I love Paxton. Mike Leake, the former Red, against Trevor Bauer. And that's on the outside corner, strike 3. And that'll end the inning. The Rockies got a leadoff triple from Charlie Blackmon. DJ a ground out to bring him home 1-0 at the end of 1. Mariners 1-0 as we go to inning number 2. Ryan Healy, the first baseman for Seattle, will step in against Chad Bettis. Chad, a couple of punch outs, one looking, one swinging in the first inning. One of the things we've noticed this spring for Chad, after obviously missing last spring with testicular cancer, and then, I mean, he had such a great story last year and did so many good things once he returned. But the fastball velocity, as one would expect, was down last year. A couple of clicks. Fastball velocity this spring Huey is back up.
Yeah, and they made 9 starts after coming back from the cancer. So even then, it's a little bit. I just want to compare it only from the physical standpoint as like Tommy John surgery, where you're rehabbing, you're doing everything you can, you're stretching it out, you're trying to get, but it takes a while for that arm and all the off-season preparation to go through. Even early in camp for Chad, I think that the velocity was down just a tick or two as he was starting to get back into shape. But lately, as you mentioned, Drew, now it's, we're seeing the 91s, 92s again, not, 88, 89, a touch of 90.
Base hit by Vogelback. So with 1 out, the Mariners have their initial base runner, and that'll bring up Guillermo Heredia. This kid's a good outfielder.
Defensively, he's one of the best that you're going to see. The routes that he takes, strong throwing arm, always hits his cutoff man, throws to the right bases, and he can really run. So yeah, he's a very good outfielder. And he's going to get a chance to play quite a bit again in the early going with Gamble being out.
I like Gamble.
Yeah.
I'm just watching him play. You could obviously see him every night, but I think he's got a huge upside.
Mariners have a number of guys, especially in the outfield where they're younger, more athletic, and they all play really hard and they run well, which is a nice thing to have, especially if you're looking at the bottom of your lineup and you have some speed down there to score some runs. But they cover a lot of ground in the outfield, and they have to do that at Safeco.
That misses. 2 balls and a strike. On the corner. There's some similarity between Chad Bettis and Marco Gonzalez. Obviously, one's a lefty, one's a righty, but Chad will throw a multitude of pitches in various counts, and we talked about Gonzalez when he is behind will go soft. Bettis does the same thing. I'm so used to power guys, Mike, these days where come and get it, and you have a couple of Felix. Has always been a supreme power guy. Has had to change things a little bit here as he's moved well into his 30s, but Paxton's a power guy. But these two guys, they'll mix it up. That just missed. They'll shave edges, and that'll push Vogelback to second and Heredia to first. And that'll bring up backup catcher for Seattle, Mike Margema.
It's interesting how you look at the game differently now, too. And you mentioned Marco Gonzalez. There's been times this spring and last year in September he was certainly there where he was throwing 94 miles an hour. That is a really good fastball,
sure.
But he will mix it up, use his changeup, and now he has the cutter this year, a pitch that he did not use last year coming off of his Tommy John. But that's kind of where the game is at now. So many of these guys, you mentioned Paxton, he'll be 97 miles an hour. Big difference where 94 used to be a really good fastball, and now it's fairly average today's game.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you fellas were playing, 94 on the left side in particular, that guy was throwing BBs, right?
Yeah, no, that's a very good fastball. Even trying to think about it, there were only a couple of guys, Sabathia and, of course, Randy Johnson, I could think of that were in that mid to upper 90s range. But you're throwing 94, that's a very good fastball.
Well, I think, too, that the way the game is with so much power, the guys that can throw the off-speed pitches when they're behind in the count, because everybody talks about the launch angle and trying to get the fastball and doing this, and you hit that fastball off hard. But a guy changes speeds on you, gets you off balance. Those are the guys that are really hard to hit. Because I think now, as you were talking about, every guy throws 94 to 97, it seems, so you're geared up towards those fastballs. But when you're behind or when you're ahead in the count 2-0 as a hitter and he throws you a changeup, you screw yourself into the ground.
Yeah. 2-1 on Margema. Bettis looking for a ground ball. He's got a bullet off the glove of Story, and that's going to score a run. And going first to third is Heredia. That was an absolute rocket. It'll go as a base hit, and we're tied at 1. Well, if Story came up with that, he could have had an unassisted double play. It was hit so hard he would have been able to tag the bag at second and maybe beat Margema to first. This thing was an absolute missile.
Well, that's the only way you can play it, too, as a shortstop. I know people would say, oh, I try to get in front of it. But you have to try to create an angle. I mean, it was hit too hard to not get in front of it. But you know what I'm saying? Everybody, oh, well, he bodies up.
I do. It's always the coach who hasn't played in 40 years yelling from the back, hey, get in front of that.
Right.
Hey,
right.
you get in front of it. Right?
I'm out.
This is to Nolan. There's one, and DJ will complete the double play. So Andrew Romine rolls into a 5-4-3, but the Mariners get a run. We're tied at 1, middle of 2. Final day of spring training, Cactus League style, 2018. Back in a moment. Second to even things up at 1 apiece. The Rockies will have Carlos Gonzalez batting 5th. Ian Desmond and Gerardo Parra to face Marco Gonzalez. And it looks like Buddy wants to do this against left-handers. Trevor Story really swung the bat exceptionally well last year against lefties. So against lefties, you may see Cargo in that 5 spot and Trevor in the cleanup spot. Otherwise, most of the spring, once Cargo had arrived, he was batting right behind Nolan in the cleanup spot against righties.
I never hit in those spots, so Mike, I'll defer to you on that one. There's really not a whole lot of difference between 4th and 5th, is there?
I don't think so, no. And I think, again, you're talking about constructing your lineup in a way to where you want everybody to get an opportunity to swing the bat, right? So as deep as the lineup is for the Rockies, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference.
Well, you want guys like Story and Cargo and Desmond coming up with traffic. And when you have Blackman and LeMahieu and Arenado in front of them, you figure they will be on base quite a bit. 1 and 2 on Cargo. He launched a couple of doubles on the backfield a couple of days ago. Trying to accumulate enough at bats where he feels comfortable. His spring was abbreviated. But he was hitting every day.
Yeah,
down in Florida. I mean, it's a little different. He's taking BP.
A little different, but I think when he came in, though, he still had enough time in spring to be able to get those. But when you go down to the minor league games, it's great for the big leaguers. They go down there, they either lead off every inning or hit third every inning, and it's just an opportunity to see more pitches, the rotation, the spin. He also had a double down there that was his patented 2-iron shot that started off about 6 inches high and then just kept rising.
This is on the ground to second, and Cargo is retired by Andrew Romine. 1 out, and that'll bring up Ian Desmond. Let's take a look at the Mariners defensively. We haven't had an opportunity yet before we get all the change-outs. Mike Blowers tells us who's who. Ichiro's in left. Heredia, we were bragging on his defense. Guillermo's in center. Mitch Haniger is in right field. Motter's at third. Gene Segura The former Brewer and Diamondback. He's at short. Romine, Healy, and Margema. Easy. Don't get hurt on the swing. Desi took a big old hack there. You know, it was a rough start, as I think many Rockies fans know. In spring training for Ian Desmond, he had lowered his hands from where he has previously held them throughout his big league career, and he began 1 for 22, but he's hitting .360 since then, including that game in down the road in Tempe against the Angels, where he hit a couple of home runs in the same inning. Well, one of them against Ohtani.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were just talking about a moment ago with Cargo. You do all this in the off season, but until you see the live action, how does it translate? And just talking to Desi early on too, a lot of it was tracking and trying to figure out the right timing. When you have your hands lower, then you don't have to start your swing quite as early as you did when they were higher. So I think all of that came into play for him, where he was just trying to find his right timing mechanism.
Good eye. When you guys were playing, first couple of days when you stood in against live pitching, sometimes this is by plan where you're just tracking, you're not swinging the bat at all. Did you guys like to do that and just see the pitches as opposed to worry about getting your swing off opening days of spring training?
I know for myself, it was something that I learned to do. When I first started coming to camp and you would hit live against your own pitchers, they would throw batting practice basically. And that was never any fun. And so what I realized that I should do, because you don't have the same energy that you would have if it was a regular game for batting practice, and the guy is still out there throwing 90 plus, I found that it was better for me to go in there and maybe just take a couple of swings, but more than anything else, work on my stride, soften things up, and just try to pick up the baseball again, because we've been off for months, even though we were taking batting practice. It's just different. And then you get after it when the games actually start.
Center field, and Heredia gets it before it drops. 2 outs.
Close fast on that ball.
Yep.
It typically will be in left field, but on days that D. Gordon isn't out there, gets a day off, Heredia will probably play center.
Here's Gerardo Parra.
Although for Scout Service, it's nice because Haniger can play out in center field. Ichiro, of course, can play there. Gamble, when he's healthy, can play out there. So he has options. But I think it'll be Heredia on days that D. Gordon isn't playing.
Which I would think wouldn't be many days.
No, he'll play a lot.
Yeah. D, you want D out there, and D's one of those guys that can run out there every day, whether it was the past where he was playing second base, now he'll be playing center field for the Mariners. Kind of made a seamless. I was going to say, it's been seamless, hasn't it?
He's been terrific, and he's worked really hard at it. He actually went to Scott at the start of spring training and said he wanted to play a lot, and I think as far as the regulars go, he has more at-bats than anybody. But it was more, I think, for his defense. But Chris Prieto, who's the first base coach, has worked with him a lot on the backfields, and fundamentally, he really does a lot of things well. He's picked up some assists, throwing guys out from the outfield, throwing to the right base. His angles have been really good. He's a tremendous athlete, obviously, and he can really run. But I didn't realize he had such a good throwing arm.
Well, originally came up as we all remember in the National League West as a shortstop, and it was a struggle. It seemed like his defense affected his offense,
yes.
And sometimes offense affected his defense.
Agreed. And then when he moved over to second base, when he went to Miami,
he had a clear mind, right?
Yeah, it was just like, okay, all the distractions are gone. I don't have to, even if I bobble the ball, it's a short throw, I can make it. And that's when he just became a Gold Glove defender, and obviously one of those guys that you hated to see as an opposition because of his speed and the dynamic and the way he can change a game.
2-2. And that is strike 3. Mike, back in the day, Huey used to tell me that when he got moved off a shortstop at times and had to play second, he said that was a day off for him.
Field Suite special going on now. When you pay in full for 2 or more suites by this Friday, you'll receive a free private suite for select games. Your clients will enjoy a great space to catch the game, and you'll enjoy great savings. For more information, log on to mariners.com/premium.
1-1 as we go to the top of the 3rd inning. Taylor Motter at the 9th spot in the lineup will lead things off, and it's Ichiro and Gene Segura. This could be Chad's last inning of work.
Jeff, did you have many springs where it came down to the last day for you?
Yeah, more than I would like, but
Yeah.
I was driving into the ballpark today, and my wife's down here with Wendy's down here with me, and she said that it's kind of nice to be dropping you off at the ballpark today, not wondering if you're going to get called into the manager's office.
Yeah.
And I joke about it, but it's so true that you know, there's anxious moments for a few of these guys, even today, tomorrow. What's going to happen?
Yeah, it's a difficult thing, and you're not sure where to send your car, where you're going to be headed. A little bit easier for the guys with the Mariners because their AAA club obviously is in Tacoma, so that part of it makes it a little bit easier. But I've had a few springs also, especially if you're not on the roster and you know they have to make moves to put you on the team. That makes it even more difficult. It's not just, you know, how you played that spring, but
is there a roster spot?
Is there going to be a spot for you? And yeah, that can be a little bit rough. I remember one spring, I think it was in '97. It was after I was coming back off my knee injury, and it was coming down to that thing, but I wasn't. We actually left like these guys are going to do. They had a day off to work out in the Kingdom, and the season was starting the next day, and I wasn't added till literally maybe an hour before the game. You know, just in case. You know, and anything can happen up to that point.
Oh, exactly.
Well, famously with the Rockies, Jeff Baker.
Oh,
that's going to turn into an out. Nice play, Chad. We'll kick over to, you know, usually you want to throw it over there. Chad decided to kick it over to E. Desmond. That has scored 1-3. Not your conventional 1-3. Scotty Garrett's going to run out, make sure he's okay, just based on how he's walking around.
He looked as if he waved him off before he ever left the dugout. Yeah, that he was fine.
Where does this hit? It hit right back up the middle.
Off the bottom of his shoe?
Yeah, maybe the bottom of his shoe on the left leg.
Now Buddy's going to go out. Then you have to throw the obligatory pitch or two. Everybody nods. And very rarely have you seen the guy throw that pitch or two and then shake his head and go, I got to go. Right?
Every once in a while, but you're right. Because you got so much adrenaline, too. Even in the spring training game, you got some adrenaline going. I think the Rockies will still get somebody up, though. Buddy's saying, okay, listen, Chad, you're 39 pitches. I wanted you to throw between 40 and 50. Okay, he's going to stay in.
Sometimes you'll see guys this time of year finish, and I put this in air quotes, finish their outing in the bullpen, depending on what number.
Kyle Freeland did that the other day.
Yep. John Gray did it the other day also. I saw him pitch his final tune-up against the Cubs over in Tempe, and he finished up at the bullpen after 3 really strong innings. Harrison Musgrave is now in the Rockies bullpen. 1 out. Ichiro looked at 3 pitches his first time up, and this ball's hit pretty well is what I'm trying to say. And Cargo runs it down. 2 outs.
We were talking about Ichiro and his calf. He looks as if he's running fine, no problems at all. So that's a good sign for the Mariners.
He needs to talk about rehabbing calves. You just tell him, give him my cell phone, Mike, because I'm an expert. I'm an expert on calf injuries. Yeah, pulled calves. Gene Segura. That's a 35+ injury. Get 35 years, and I'm 38 now. And that's why I've had a number of those.
Yeah, good lie.
Trevor Story, good inning for Bettis. It may be his last inning. He gave up a run in the second. Otherwise, he did a very nice job as Chad Bettis gets ready for the regular Chris Iannetta for the Rockies in the bottom of the third in a 1-1 ball game. And the Mariners will head home to Seattle to prepare for their Thursday opener against the Cleveland Indians. King Felix against Corey Kluber. The Rockies, they'll just change hotels, move about 15 minutes away. This ball in the air to shallow center field off Iannetta's bat. Heredia has it, 1 out. Rockies will play the Diamondbacks Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then Saturday night travel to San Diego. And of course, Sunday's always an off day, so Rockies will rest, collect themselves, and get ready for the first of 4 against the Padres on Monday. So the Rockies are hitting Chad, using their pitcher to hit at least initially. Chad Bettis. It's of greater importance, as we all know, in the National League. You're not going to see Marco Gonzalez, though, as Mike pointed out. He'd probably like to get some.
He would like to hit
some swats today with the bat.
I think this might be also just take 3 pitches, Chad, and don't swing the bat.
Well, if that was the intent, then why not put a DH out?
Or try a sac bunt just to work on that. Oh,
or
yeah,
how about
or
a line
swing.
one down the right field line? And, well, it's fine.
Good catch.
So basically, we've debunked both of your theories.
Right, yeah, they're out the window.
Yeah.
Now, if he were to reach base, would they pinch run for him? I would think as a manager this close to the season starting that I had one of my pitchers out there. I'm not sure I want him running the bases.
Yeah, I would think you're right on the line there. Great take, huh, Huey?
That was good. Everything was going except for the bat.
Even Chad, he was
about
entertained by that. Rockies pitching staff actually handles the bat fairly well. Kyle Freeland in particular. I think, and Chad won't take offense to this, I think of the rotation guys, Chad probably the weakest of the hitters.
Yeah, I have him listed at number 5.
Yeah, and we're going to find out right now because Chad just earned a walk. He goes down there, and let's see who comes trotting out of the dugout. Nobody yet. Nobody. Wow. Which is an indicator that maybe Chad's going to go 4 innings. Ryan Healy's not going to hold him on naturally.
Chad's thrown 43 pitches.
Charlie tripled off the very top of the wall in not quite dead center field, just a little bit left of that. Two strikes on Blackman. Trying to remember, Huey, was Blackman in that doubles ping pongs final this year?
Yes, he was.
Who was his partner? It was Zach Wilson, right?
No, Zach was with Nolan.
Oh, Zach was with Nolan.
Yeah,
okay.
Charlie was with Chris Russell.
Who had the forehand side? Who had the backhand side?
Forehand side was Charlie. Chris had the backhand side, but he would run around to his forehand.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And that's called strike 3. So Gonzalez freezes Blackman, 2 outs, and that'll bring up LeMahieu.
Second baseman, number 9, D.J. LeMahieu.
Here, you know, we talk about things, and then just as you
see,
just as we discuss, you have video. And there's the grand celebration. That's at the knees. Can we run that back? Because Nolan was not pleased.
Yes.
He was not happy.
He was not happy with being the runner-up.
Charlie threw the paddle up in the air.
No fine though, because you can do that if you win the championship. Doesn't count.
Well,
as a
and
bat
also
flip.
if it breaks, I think he can buy another one.
Right.
It's okay.
1-1 on LeMahieu.
That's one of the things that has changed, and I think it's a good thing. When you and I were playing, Jeff, there wasn't ping pong or any of those types of things. I think it was last year Robinson Cano bought a pool table so the guys could have that. This year it was a Pop-A-Shot. I believe D. Gordon bought a Pop-A-Shot. It's one of the nicest ones you're ever going to see. But those guys are always together doing something and having a good time.
But wasn't it a few years ago even the Mariners had an Olympic kind of theme?
Scott Service put that together
in August. It was 2 years ago, I believe.
Yeah, Scott did that. And they would come out early before batting practice and have different events.
And didn't they have to wear? They had to wear a shirt.
No, they
too.
had 4 teams and they all had their own shirts. Yeah, you bet.
It's like color war at camp, huh?
Pretty much.
DJ hits this ball pretty well to right field, really well, in fact, and it hits off the base of the wall. Bettis kind of cruising, and Stu Cole will stop him naturally at third, and LeMahieu has an opposite field double.
Well, Rockies fans have seen this a number of times from DJ. Always in the top 2 or 3 each year for opposite field hits. And they're not just little singles, which he will throw out a bunch of those. This one's off the wall, though, in right field.
I believe it was 38% of the balls he put in play last year went to right field, which was the highest in baseball.
Yeah, and I forget the exact number of opposite field hits, but I believe it was second in all of baseball. He had 58 or 60 oppo hits.
Here's the cranky ping pong player, Nolan Arenado. Rockies do the same thing. Buddy Black is really, I think most managers want to do that, have great camaraderie naturally.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has all sorts of different contests and themes. Remember last year, the map? Somebody had to draw a map, find out where each guy, Mike, was from. This is in the air to Heredia. He's got to come in now. He'll make the catch and it's the inning. And he had to talk to all his teammates, find out the hometown, and then he had to do like an 8th grade project with North America represented. It was pretty wild. 1-1. Stick in a 1-1 game as we go to the top of the 4th inning. Harrison Musgrave will take over on the mound. So Chad Bettis, 3 real effective innings and also opportunity to run the bases. He joins us from the dugout right now. Chad, we all had you being pinch run for after working out that 38-pitch walk.
I'm glad they didn't take me out there.
I actually had you not swinging the bat at all and just going up there and taking 3 pitches.
Easy.
Pretty good
Just
check
for the
swing,
last
too.
day.
Pretty good check swing. Lay off that fastball inside.
Yeah, seriously. That was nasty.
How'd you feel, by the way?
I felt good. I felt good. I think, this coming to an end here is where I want to be right now.
The natural question, I know you fielded this quite a bit over the last 6 weeks. How much different do you feel this year, and I'm not going to take you back to last year, obviously, with what you were going through, but even from the end of the season when you were pitching at the big league level to where you're starting right now?
Oh, I feel a lot stronger, honestly. I think, unfortunately, it took me a couple years to get to where I wanted to be weight-wise. But, I think all in all, it's good to be where I'm at right now. And the strength is there, so I'm ready to go.
Early on in camp, you threw a B game back on the backfield. You said you were working on some stuff mechanically. What has that adjustment been for you? Because, to me, just the naked eye watching it, looks like it hasn't changed much.
Yeah, it was just, very small things getting in tune and working on just, manipulating the mechanics a little bit. Nothing drastic, but, I wanted to get a little extra fill in and be able to work on some stuff that I really wanted to, hound in on this spring and taking it into the season.
Chad, when people refer to you as the veteran of this rotation, even though you are still very much in your 20s, do you chuckle like you just did?
Yeah, I think it speaks highly of our organization and the group of guys we have together. It's fun to be a part of this staff for sure.
Last year, you guys go to the postseason. You win 87 games. What's the mindset? What is the mood? What is the collective goal of this club as you embark on 2018? Yeah,
I think we got a little taste of it last year. I think to sum it up in one word would be it was addicting, and we want some more of that. So, that's our whole mindset. That's our goal, and get back to the postseason.
Well, Steve Foster just sent us a text, and since you got to run first to third, you don't have to run after the ball game.
No polls.
That's good. Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Chad, good luck, man. It's great to see you.
Thanks, Chad.
And good luck this campaign.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
You bet. That's Chad Bettis downstairs. 3 solid innings this afternoon. Next time he toes the rubber, it'll be for real. Harrison Musgrave gave up a double to Mitch Haniger, and now he's 2-2 on Ryan Healy. If only Chad was a better guy, huh?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that he's like that.
Yeah, he's so tough to deal with.
The old man of the staff. I don't like
the old
that.
man, 28. This is hooked foul.
I thought he had a great reaction to that, too.
Yeah.
He started laughing about it.
Yeah.
Apparently, since he ran the bases, his leg or his foot, ankle, whatever, the comebacker hit. Must be fine.
You know what? I forgot to ask him about it.
Yeah.
Put a headset back on him. Got to ask him about that kick save over to Desmond. And Musgrave paints the inside corner. Ryan Healy didn't much appreciate that call. 1 out. That'll bring up the DH, Daniel Vogelbach, who looks like a DH. This dude's got some Matt Stairs in him, doesn't he?
I was thinking the same thing.
This is Stairs, reincarnated.
He's had a great spring.
Here's what he does, Mike. Do you know this because you cover him, that Vogelbach on the off days plays in a softball league in Tacoma. Keg at second base.
He's probably the guy on the team too that
he's a designated home run guy, right?
Yeah, he can hit the home runs. Nobody else can.
Well, he's hit a lot of home runs this spring. Tape measure home runs, hit for a high average. He's been really aggressive, which is something they wanted him to maybe not be as big. He get a fastball to hit, and put it in play. And he certainly has done that, and he's done it with authority.
I love this guy. I don't know him, but I love him. I mean, you talk about, you look up barrel chested in the dictionary, and Vogelbach pops in at you. Musgrave goes off speed, 2-1. It's also one of those guys like the helmet. There's never the helmet that fits right. He's kind of like stuffed on his head, and the jowls of his jaw protruding outside the ear flaps. This dude's beautiful. Desi's got to play in foul ground. That'll be the second out. It'll bring up Guillermo Heredia. My guy in Chicago's trimmed down a little bit, Huey.
Yeah, I just saw Tom DePace, a veteran photographer that I've known for about 30 years. He did the photo shoot for Stanton with Adidas. And, it's just Giancarlo. And think about his stature in New York and just the way that town's going to embrace him. Back to back, though, also, between he and Judge hitting.
Don't forget this. You guys play the Yankees, obviously, quite a bit. Sanchez doesn't take a back seat in terms of launching baseballs. I mean, he's not he's a big guy, but he's not physically, not 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". But Sanchez, in terms of how far he hits the baseball, that group, that batting practice group, I'd like to be the fourth guy in that group.
Better bring some extra baseballs.
Right. Don't be that fourth guy.
Yeah.
Say, no, this group only has 3 guys in it.
2 outs, Haniger at second, a 2-strike count on Heredia.
Honestly, though,
covers that.
How many extra dozen baseballs did they have to order this year? Just getting Stanton in batting practice.
I don't know, but he hit a ball. Was it yesterday? Last night he hit a ball a mile.
I didn't see that one.
I didn't either.
Ooh, that got him. So Heredia twice down in the count. He's been able to work his way on. A walk the first time. There he got clipped by a pitch. 2 on, Mike Margema, who hit a rocket one-hopper that went off the glove of Trevor Story. A base hit to drive in the only run for Seattle. Runners going, and Ionetta's throw on the bag, an easy play for Nolan, and they cut down Mitch Haniger. That was a perfect throw from Chris Ionetta to end the inning. Middle of 4, we're tied at 1. This is an appropriate mode of transportation in Arizona, and the reason why, there's a lot of sand here.
Is that how you got over here today, Mike?
Yeah, I'm leading the way right there.
Are you?
Yeah.
Have you ever rode a dune buggy?
No.
No.
Okay, I'll take you guys out sometime. Trevor Story will lead it off for the Rockies, and Carlos Gonzalez and Ian Desmond. Marco Gonzalez still out there. He's been very effective. Gave up a run in the first, a leadoff triple by Charlie Blackmon, and he scored on a ground out by LeMahieu. Story with a lead single Third hit for the Rockies. That'll bring up Cargo, who grounded to second, his initial at bat.
Carlos Gonzalez.
This will be Cargo's 10th season in a Rockies uni. You get 10 years in the big leagues, let alone one uniform, man. That's pretty special.
Still remember when he came over in the trade from the A's.
That was a big deal, because it was Matt Holliday going to the A's, and the Rockies in return got Cargo, Houston Street, and Greg Smith. Here's a strike. Good pitch from Gonzalez on the corner. 1-1. Cargo becomes a superstar. Houston Street closed a lot of games for the Rockies in 2009. Led them into the postseason.
I remember Jim Tracy had a big hand in that, in Cargo's development when he first came over.
Yeah, absolutely he did. He hung with him.
He did. A lot of people
were
saying, oh, he needs to go down some more seasoning in AAA, this, that, and the other thing. And Jim stuck with him. Hit him leadoff.
He had leadoff, and for me, his coming out party was that postseason in which against Philadelphia he went 10 for 17. And that also is a strike. 1-2. Sneaky. That is a tough pitch, left on left to lay off of, and Cargo has struggled with that pitch, as do a lot of lefties. That slider that looks like it's going to be in the zone and is.
You end up chasing it. That's all you do.
A lot of guys do.
You end up keep walking out there and you can't reach it.
So that was a good take. 2-2. And that's a line drive that is caught by the shortstop Segura. But you know, you go back to the dugout and you go, it was a good at bat, left on left.
Oh, if you're Cargo, you definitely do that. After laying off that last one, hit a line drive. I was just thinking about Marco Gonzalez, and you know, just this kid. I mean, 2 years at Gonzaga, he was Player of the Year along with Chris Bryant.
I thought that it was
college baseball.
College baseball, yeah.
College baseball. I thought it was a really nice pickup for the Mariners, getting him last year.
That's a really nice pickup right there on the infield. Romine had a long way to go, and he got a guy who runs well in Ian Desmond. 2 outs, advancing to second. Story. I'm sorry, man.
That's okay. I think when you look at him, there's a couple of things to keep in mind. And when Jerry DiPoto was able to get him, as we take a look at this play by Romine, had to cover a lot of ground. It was hit off the end of the bat, but a fine play. But you look at it and you go back and you go, first round pick, coming off of Tommy John. Okay, well, where's his arm at? Hit 94 last year. He's always had the really good changeup. Then to your point, Huey, you already know that he's a really good athlete. So the next step for him was to get his cutter back, which he's been able to throw this spring. So he kind of checks all the boxes along the way, and you never know what you're going to find in somebody. And especially in today's world, with the way these guys are coming back from surgery, I think he has a chance to have a really big year for him.
Yeah, he's definitely, when you look at the makeup and as you point out some of those issues in the boxes he checks off, this is a guy you bet on.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. This is a good move by Jerry.
And he's been able to throw his cutter quite a bit this spring. I know when I talked to him this winter, he was excited, and he said the thought of throwing a baseball and injuring his arm is long gone. That doesn't bother me, and you can tell just with the confidence that he was speaking. Along with he's a terrific guy too, on top of everything else. So,
well, I think too for Scott, when he's penciling in his rotation, you know, you're not sure who the 5th guy is, but at least you have 2 lefties in the top 4.
Yeah.
You know, with James Paxson and then Marco.
Two balls and no strikes on Gerardo Parra. Parra caught looking his first time up. '62nd pitch for Marco Gonzalez.
And I just saw the 5A high school baseball rankings back in Colorado a couple days ago, and shocker, Drew, Rocky Mountain's in the top 5 again.
They always seem to be. Represent the
I believe
northern part of the
actually I
state
think
well.
they're even 3rd.
I know Mountain Vista's number 1.
Yeah.
We saw them at Arapahoe a couple weeks ago. They are loaded. Hugh, I think you counted a few years ago when this is going to be close. Safe. Ball running hard, and he landed on the bag at about the same time as Marco Gonzalez, so it goes a leg hit first and third. But when Cody, your youngest, was graduating from Chaparral High School, I think you counted up that year. So you see the bang bang play at first. I don't know if Marco ever got his foot on the bag. No, he
Maybe
didn't.
off to the side.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, that year I believe there was 46 or 47 D1
out of the state of Colorado.
Out of the state of Colorado.
And this year, I just off the top of my head, there's quite a few again this year. That's why the Big Ten, the Pac-12, the SEC, they're always in there recruiting. Cold weather state. And you guys deal with that. And of course, you have Washington State. You have Gonzaga. We were just talking about. You have a lot more Division I options up in the Pacific Northwest. Not to mention Oregon State. And Oregon State's been loaded for a number of years. But in Colorado, you have Northern Colorado, and they're having a nice season this year. You have Air Force Academy, and then you have some high-quality D2s. Unfortunately, Colorado and Colorado State and Wyoming, where Jeff played, they don't play college baseball anymore. It's a shame. But there's so many good players of the 3 major sports. The state of Colorado, by far, turns out more high-level baseball players than football or basketball. Oh boy. Yeah. Looks like Margin will be all right.
And Mike played at the other UW too.
University of Washington.
We always, but his wife Nicole was smart, and she went to the other UW, University of Wyoming.
I did not know that. Your wife's a cowboy, or a cowgirl, I guess you would say, right? Okay.
That's where
Wendy went to Wyoming.
Obviously, in that family, Nicole got the speed.
Thanks, Jeff. Unfortunately, you're telling the truth.
Right.
Mike and I go way back. 1987, we played together. 1987 in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yep.
And then 88 in Jacksonville and 89 in Indianapolis.
On that West Palm, was Walker on that West Palm team?
No, not that year. That was the year he missed because he tore his ACL in winter ball.
Okay.
Yeah, Philippe Ballou was our manager, though.
How great was that?
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, how lucky were we as a couple of guys in A-ball trying to figure all this out to have him as your manager?
Wow. Well, I think it had a huge impact on my career. Just the professionalism.
Taught us how to be professionals.
Yeah. He wouldn't let us get away with anything, but he didn't have a whole lot of rules.
No.
How about a commanding voice, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A deep voice.
Stern hard.
A stern look, too.
Yeah. Play hard, be on time. That was it. Those were his 2 rules.
You run across people like that, but for me, Jeff, I always felt like I didn't want to disappoint him anyway.
Right.
That's how much respect I had for him.
Inside on Ionetta, 2-2.
That was it. Just play hard, be on time.
Remember one time when he was managing the Giants, and I was sitting in his office talking to him, hours before a game and kind of going over where they were at that particular time. And it always struck me so funny because he said, "We will be better when we get Moises Alou back." and I
Pretty good player, by
right?
the way.
I mean, obviously, yes, you would be much better having Moises Alou available. He was hurt. He was dealing with one of the many foot or calf injuries he had. I think it was calf, actually. Calf's the injury of the day. But I just thought it was funny. Instead of saying, you know, when we get Moises back or when we get my kid back, it was Moises Alou. Outside, so Iannetta draws a walk. And folks, for those that haven't seen Chris play in a while because he's been in other cities, Iannetta will walk quite a bit. He'll hit some home runs and he'll walk.
Always was the top of seeing pitches per plate appearance.
Yeah. Pat Valleca is going to pinch hit for Musgrave. Scott Oberg's warming in the Rockies bullpen, so this is an opportunity for Patty to do something he did as well as anybody in baseball last year. Drive in runs in the pinch. He's got the bases loaded here with 2 outs in the 4th inning in a 1-1 ball game. Last time we saw Valleca, the Rockies were being shut out in the 9th inning on Sunday, and then he hit a 3-run bomb. And this ball is tagged to left center field off the end of the bat a little bit, and it'll be tucked away for an out. So the Rockies leave him loaded in the 4th. Onward we move to the 5th inning. 1 apiece.
Before we start up here in a couple days on the 27th, tied up 1-1 in the 5th inning. Hey fans, Colorado Rockies tickets are now on sale for all 181, just 81 Rockies home games. Call 303 Rockies or visit Rockies.com. So not 181 home games, it's just 81 this year.
Well, I thought you were promoting 181 games overall, and that would be a good thing.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, subliminal message there.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. That would be a great thing. Scott Oberg's going to take over for the Rockies and get an inning of work here in the 5th. He'll see the bottom 3rd of this Mariner lineup. Mike Margema, Andrew Romine, and Taylor Motter.
Well, I think Scott did everything he needed to do coming into the spring after the season last year and how important he was down the stretch. And even into that 1-game wild card game, he pitched well for the Rockies.
Big fastball, and Margema took a big swing. 0-1. Oberg's one of those guys, Huey, when you look in that crystal ball, as we all do, Mike's doing it with with Dave Sims, looking at the Mariners, and who under the radar has that breakout year. Scott Oberg's been in the big leagues for a couple of years. We know he has a huge arm, and we've seen him brilliant at times. We've also seen him struggle, particularly with giving up the long ball. But sometimes it takes relievers a while to figure it out, because talent-wise, arm talent-wise, this kid's got it.
Oh, it's off the charts. I mean, when you look at it, it's 98, 99 with the fastball. more sliders last year than he threw the curveball. I think the curveball 2 years ago was the pitch that really got him into trouble. And so he went from 4 pitches really to 2 pitches, fastball, slider, maybe an occasional changeup. But Scott is going to be a valuable piece because they've kind of stretched him out a couple times during the spring where he might be asked to go a couple innings this year. You know, with the way the bullpen is constructed and the length or the depth, I guess, more than anything with a couple of those guys. So Scott could come in the 5th inning, 6th inning to get you to that 7th inning.
He touched in Los Angeles last year, Blow. He touched on back-to-back pitches. He went 100, 101. And he gets a bouncer to short. Story with the strong arm across his body. Gets a pick at first. And a little subtle pick. Not a tough pick for Ian Desmond, but for those left side guys, Huey, and you were a left side guy most of your career, that is huge, having a guy that you have confidence in at first.
And I think that's what helps all these guys, because once you catch the ball, you don't want to be having in your mind, oh, okay, I've got to throw it onto this small window, otherwise he's not going to be able to catch it, or it's going to be a struggle. If I just let it go and know that that guy has confidence over there, that's huge. And Mike's done it where, you know, come up as a third baseman, played some first base. You know that transition's not easy at times, but what it makes it those other guys feel like.
Yeah, I think the confidence part of it is the biggest part, especially if you're on the left side of the infield, because a lot of times, especially your backhand side, you don't have time necessarily to always be in a perfect, where your feet are perfect and everything. You have to get rid of the baseball and put something on it and basically get it in the area. And because you practiced it so much, you can do that, but you have to trust the guy across the diamond is going to help you out when you need it.
Sometimes you don't even get a grip on the baseball.
Right.
You just grab it and you throw it and you hope you got a seam.
Right.
Mike,
exactly
when you were at first, did you ever do that drill where one of your coaches stood at second base with the fungo blasting low line drives at you?
Yeah, hitting them in the dirt and you're having to pick them and just basically work on your glove and your footwork and all those different things. The thing for me that I had to learn when I went from third over to first when I first started playing at first base was to see the baseball first before I would make my stride out to go get the baseball. So many times you see these guys and they'll stride early and then the ball's a little bit offline, but it's not a bad throw, but their feet are in an alignment to where you see them reaching across their body to make the catch. And, I used to like that drill, actually. I thought it was a good drill.
Well, the Rockies, at least for us, had one of the best I've ever seen, and that was Helton at digging balls out of the dirt. Romine fouls it off.
For the Mariners, Ryan Healy's over there, and he really looks comfortable. He started third last year for the A's and then was moved over to first base, and he missed the first half of spring. But the little bit I've had a chance to watch him play over there, he looks really comfortable, and picking the ball out of the dirt is not a problem for him. We've already seen it today.
I've said this many times. Jeff and I, Spilly and I have had this conversation, and you can appreciate this because you, like a lot of corner guys, come up as a third baseman, you get flipped over. Sometimes people think that's a throw. You can stick anybody at first and coach them up real quick to play that. There's so many things going on, from bunt defense to cuts to, the 3-6-3. I mean, not an easy spot to play.
It's not an easy spot to play, and if you have somebody, Desmond obviously a plus athlete, he can play everywhere, but if you have somebody over there that can do all those different things, that really helps you out, and you'll appreciate it more over the course of a summer. You mentioned Helton. Watch him every day, and he can do certain things. I learned the value of that when I first broke in with the Yankees, and Don Manning was at first. Terrific, and how many runs he would save. Pitches on a pitcher's arm just by picking the ball or making an aggressive throw to second base to get a lead runner as opposed to taking the easy out at first. Things like that. He would throw across the diamond to me. Charge a ball and throw across the diamond to get the runner.
Which you almost never see. This back up the middle. Romine on a 1-2 pitch delivers a knock.
Keith Hernandez was like that with the Mets. When it first came up, Keith Hernandez, he was not scared to make a throw to third, do anything like that. We talk about first base too. Who handles the ball more than the pitcher and catcher?
Right,
first baseman. So you're just going to say, oh, just you stick Joe Smith over there and he'll be fine. No, it's not going to be that way, because you want the confidence that the other guys have to make the throw over there. That it's not going to be good.
You got to have a cerebral guy also, because you know, the trail on an extra base hit, trail and peel. If all of a sudden the ball's in the gap, and now you had a guy at first, and now you're cut to the plate. There's a lot of things going on.
Right. With Donnie too, one of the things that I like that he would do, obviously he threw left-handed, a left-handed thrower, but he would come over and take ground balls with me at third and throw across the diamond.
Really?
Yeah. Terrific athlete.
Wow.
Just to get some work in. And I think he actually ended up playing over there in one game, ended up having to go in and move over there for an inning or two. Think about that.
Right.
Gerardo Parra does that at shortstop. I think that's just for giggles, though.
He's just messing around.
Well,
He's just having some fun.
Parra has, Huey, he's got like the 11-inch glove also.
No. It's an 8-inch glove.
It's smaller than that?
Yeah, it's smaller than
tiny.
that. It's really tiny. It's one of those gloves that you would go to the sporting goods store and you would look at it and you go, oh, that would be good for that 5- or 6-year-old that's just learning how to play.
Yeah.
Just size-wise, it's just so small. It just barely fits on his hand.
Did you ever practice with something like that, smaller?
A flat glove.
Flat glove.
The real flat glove.
Pancake?
But that had some leather on it.
Right.
It wasn't just like a piece of cardboard or a board.
Runner going. Ionetta's throw to second. Not going to be in time. That was a bag stolen on Oberg. So Romine at second now. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Taylor Motter. Off the top of my head, I don't know how many bags Seattle stole last year. That total, I'm guessing, is going to go up with your new leadoff hitter.
And if Segura can stay healthy. Segura still, he stole 22 bases. I think D had 60 last year.
Right.
But Segura capable of stealing over 30. So the 1-2 at the top of the lineup they're going to run a lot.
Puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
Well, it helps too on those nights that you don't hit the home runs. How do you manufacture some runs and get those runs?
No, that's going to be a big part of it.
Pretty good 3-2 slider there, Huey. Throws Motter. 2 gone. That'll bring up Ichiro again.
Well, bring out Jake McGee out of the bullpen.
Yeah. The situational opportunity, though Jake's a full inning guy. But he's going to come in to face Ichiro. Come back in a moment. 1-1. And zip for the Mariners, 1-4 and zip for the Rockies. Sellout crowd, final day of spring training 2018. The Rockies and Mariners. And with 2 outs and Andrew Romine at second base, a single and a stolen base. Ichiro will face Jake McGee. And the fastball's off the plate, ball 1. Sometimes you look at the innings worked for a reliever in spring training, you say, wow, he's only worked 4 2/3. That does not count, folks, work he may have gotten in a AAA game or a backfield inter-squad game.
Or the days he was able to go back-to-back days because of that.
Yep.
So it's the other thing that they want to do with relievers late in camp.
And he worked back-to-back Saturday and Sunday. That misses 2-1. During the commercial break, Mike Blowers was talking about when Seattle be in Tampa or Tampa be up in Seattle when Jake was with the Rays, and this guy's tough to hit.
He was about as automatic as it gets. Very good fastball. It seemed that he was always aggressive, and the guys just had a hard time putting him in play. And you can understand it when you're seeing 95 to 97 miles an hour. But these guys get used to the speed, but they still just had a tough time picking the ball up from him.
That's what we saw more of last year, too, 95, 97, than we did the year before.
The knee injury really affected him 2 years ago, his first with the Rockies. 2-2. It's been a busy spring training for Chris Iannetta because he's had to learn a whole new staff coming over from Arizona. Of course, the guys he caught years ago with the Rockies no longer Rockies. And Jake loses Ichiro first and second with 2 outs. Now to bring up Gene Segura. Strikeout and a ground ball to short this afternoon for Segura, the Mariners shortstop. A team with Robbie Cano put together one of the better offensive middle infields in baseball.
Well, the guy at third's not too shabby either.
Yeah,
and Corey's older brother.
Yeah, Corey's older brother. Where's Kyle?
Kyle will appreciate that.
Kyle hanging out on Bainbridge Island
I
today.
just think his jersey last year for that weekend, Players Weekend, Players Choice, whatever. Yeah, that was the best. To me, that one hands down.
He was a pretty good player too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be anybody's older brother.
No. He was a pretty good player.
And evidently a real good sense of humor. How did Mom and Dad split time?
That's a great question.
They're from Carolina, so when Mom and Dad get on a plane,
there it is.
There it is. Corey's brother. We talked about it. The other brother is in your organization.
Yeah, the minor leagues. Yep.
That's where a few years ago when the Uptons were playing together. How nice was that?
Well, in Atlanta, too, because they were close to where he grew up in the Chesapeake Valley of Virginia. I remember talking to Justin about it. Mom and Dad, they could jump in the car and be there in a few hours and see both their kids. For Mr. and Mrs. Seeger, they got to take a long plane flight.
They do, but at least they're on the West Coast.
Yeah. 1-2 on Segura. This is popped up right side. Cargo in right field makes the catch, and that ends the inning. Middle of inning number 5. It's been well pitched. 1-1.
Give fans more baseball for less. At VECU Value Games, score select bleacher or view seats for $15 and main or club seats for $30. The first event is Sunday versus the Indians. Just go to mariners.com/value for tickets.
Back at Salt River Fields, a talking stick with Jeff Houston and Mike Blowers from Seattle's side of things. I'm Drew Goodman. And Charlie Blackmon's going to lead off. Marco Gonzalez still out there. And again, he won't pitch for several days, right. So he's getting a little more extension here. Charlie gets a good pass off, but worked underneath it. Ichiro in left field could still catch a fly ball. Not lost that ability.
So you open up at home,
yes.
And then you go to San Francisco first, correct?
San Francisco for 2, which will be their opener. Then the Minnesota and Kansas City, and I think it's also Minnesota's opener.
Okay. Oh, so you get 3 openers.
So, yeah, so the guys are going to be spending some time standing on the lines out there.
A couple years ago, the Rockies had 3.
Yeah.
I haven't even checked. The Padres open at home?
I don't know.
Because that would be the possibility of getting.
And I think it's a good point that you bring up with Marco today, because they have tomorrow off. Felix will get the opener on Thursday. Friday is off. Then you're going to have the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, another off day on Monday before we get into San Francisco. So they may as well let him go.
San Diego's at home against the Brewers.
That's the Brew Crew. So the Rockies will get 2. They'll have Arizona. They'll have their own.
Yeah, for Colorado kids, though, you were talking about Marco Gonzalez. How about Ty Block getting the opening day nod for the Giants? A Regis product.
What's great about Ty Block, Mike, is that Huey coached him when he was a wee lad and didn't screw him up.
Didn't mess him up.
Didn't mess him up.
Nice job.
That's my claim to fame. I messed my kids up, but not him.
2 balls and a strike on LeMahieu. And this ball is well struck left center field and off the base of the wall. So DJ has a double to go with his double to right in his previous at bat. See if somebody comes running out of the dugout for him now.
Well, even with the shift, because that was Ichiro that tracked that ball down in the shift. Yep.
Here comes somebody.
Here comes the line change.
This is Anthony Phillips. So the next at bat you see DJ will take will be on Thursday night at Chase Field against Patrick Corbin and the Diamondbacks. He had a great spring. Not a good spring. He had a great spring. Here's Arenado. Tuffy Gozwich is in behind the plate for Seattle. New shortstop also.
Zach Dempsey been able to play a lot this spring. Got a shortstop now. So Segura's done.
Oh-2 coming up. That cuts inside. 1-2. I'll tell you what this has been for me, and Mike, you've been camped out down here for the last 2 months. Huey and I go back and forth to Colorado. This has been the coolest by temperature spring training in the Cactus League I can remember.
I would agree with that. I think we had, what, a stretch of about 4 or 5 days where it was in the mid-80s, but other than that, it's been really comfortable.
Outside 3-2, so Nolan
and typically
behind
we're
0-2.
in the 90s at this point.
Yeah. Usually you can, get some baking done next to you as you sit down and watch the ball game. Unleavened bread begins to rise. Two outs. That'll bring up Story. Trevor had a base hit in the 4th inning. Struck out looking in the 1st against Marco Gonzalez. That's just in case you're going to bring matzah to the game. And
I see how you worked that in there. Nice.
Passover approaching. It is 70 degrees today, by the way. I mean, that is unusual. I mean, we're almost in April.
It snowed back home last night.
And Chris and my boys were so excited to leave yesterday morning and miss all that. How much snow did you get at the house? Do you know?
I think
nobody's at your house right now.
Yeah, I think 4 or 5 inches is what
really.
Yeah. Yeah, Wendy was happy. She didn't have to. She always says, "Well, you're down in Arizona, and I have to shovel."
I've never heard that before. Did you guys get any snow in Seattle this winter?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah. We've been dealing with a lot of rain this spring. I know that.
When the career ended, did you ski, Mike?
No.
Kids?
Kids, yes.
Would you guys go up to Whistler or just go to like Hood or?
No, we would go to a bunch of places. Snoqualmie, for the most part, we'd go up there. And, yeah, and I'd sit and watch them go up and down the hill.
Right.
Yeah.
Be a good dad.
Yep.
How'd it turn out?
Well,
we were après skiing from.
I just was amazed at how many times that they could fall down and get back up, and I knew that would not be the case for me. So I was right where I needed to be.
Two and one on Trevor Story. They'll need a new instrument. Anthony Phillips is the runner at third. He's running for DJ, who had doubled with 1 out. 2 gone. Yeah, I'm looking over. You guys both score, obviously, as a broadcaster. You haven't met anybody really who hasn't scored. Actually, I do know one guy who doesn't score.
You're not going to say I know who it is.
You know, I'll say it.
You did a broadcast with him.
Yeah, we were doing a Fox game nationally. It was, and I'm not throwing him under the bus. A great guy. And it fit. And when I tell you the name, Mike, you'll say, "Yep, that doesn't surprise me." Mitch Williams, Wild Thing. He sat back and he watched the ball game and he commented on it. He didn't bother scoring. If he needed something, he looked at my book. This ball is hit a long way, but foul. But I'm wondering, and you guys played baseball forever, did you learn how to score prior to your professional career?
My dad taught me how to score when I was a kid.
So you did when you were a kid?
Yeah, my dad, same thing.
Okay.
Taught me how to score.
But I'm betting that you played with some guys in the big leagues that did not really know how to score a game.
Absolutely, yes.
100%, yeah.
That's hit hard, and Story does to the shortstop what was done to him earlier. Hit the ball just so hard that it was unable to be fielded by Zach Vinci. That'll go as a base hit, and the Rockies take a 2-1 lead as Anthony Phillips scores.
Almost the same exact ball.
Yeah. And now Tony Diaz will pat him on the backside, say that was a great march, Trevor. I'll see you on Thursday.
He did everything he could to make the play.
He didn't have time to get in front of that one.
Along with the
Even
desire.
even if he wanted to, he was not going to get there.
Oh, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt.
This will be Cargo's final at bat. Carlos Herrera is the pinch runner for Trevor.
So who'd you learn how to score from, Drew?
You know, I'm assuming that's a great question. I hadn't thought about that. I'm assuming I learned from my dad also growing up.
You still see some people get the scorebook out and scorecard.
Oh, we see it all the time.
You know, again, we do this for a living, but I think from a fan standpoint, it helps. It just keeps you in the game.
Well, I like, too, to have the book. So if we're talking about a game that happened 2 months ago,
right,
I can just flip
back
to that game and look and see all the marks you made,
Hey,
what happened.
I don't carry last year's book, but when we're in Seattle this year, Seattle's down at our place, and James Paxton had big old lefties on the mound. I'm going to reference back because I just remember how dominant he was against the Rockies.
Edwin Diaz getting loose in the pen. Well, James went through a stretch there, 6-7 week stretch where I thought he was the best pitcher in the American League.
He was virtually, the day we saw him, I don't know if you remember, you know, specific games, Mike, but he was virtually unhittable.
Yeah, he can get that way.
Yeah.
And with him, obviously he has the big time arm. His fastball will be 95 to 100. But as the game moves on, and you know how rare this is, Jeff, in the 7th, 8th, 9th inning, that might be the hardest he throws the entire game.
Stronger.
Yeah. You'll see a lot of 95s, 96s, 97, but he'll touch 100 late in the game. And I think that he's somebody, too, that you can kind of get away from the pitch count.
This is going to drop, and Cargo has himself a base hit. Herrera will stop at second. And now we'll get another pinch runner, I'm sure, for number 5.
And I think with James, he's one of those guys, too. Scott Service going to make a pitching change with Gonzalez. So 94 pitches for him today. Pretty good afternoon overall. But I think with James, you can get past the 110. He could be in that 120 range, you know, a number of times over the course of the summer.
We'll get a pitching change. Good outing for Marco Gonzalez as he departs, down 2-1 with 2 outs in the 5th. Rockies up 2-1 on a base hit by Trevor Story to drive in Anthony Phillips, who was running for DJ LeMahieu, who had doubled, a couple of doubles for DJ. And the closer is in a different situation, obviously, than normal. Edwin Diaz is going to get a little work here. One of the youngest closers in baseball, 34 saves last year as a 23-year-old. And his first pitch is inside on Ian Desmond.
Mike, I just remember this guy 2 years ago in the WBC. That's when I first saw him, and I was like, this is unbelievable what this guy's doing.
And that was when he just started as a reliever. He had been a starter in the organization and got a Double-A. I think he was relieving for 3, maybe 4 weeks because the organization needed some power arms in their bullpen at the major league level, and he was in the big leagues and has been there ever since. Dan Altavilla, the same thing. Also with him, the two of them were starters in Double-A, and now they'll pitch the back end of the bullpen. But you can just tell watching him, his fastball, he can touch 100 at times with a hard slider. He's just tremendous arm speed.
Desmond hits it in the air to right field, and it's tucked away by Haniger to end the inning. So the Rockies get a run. They move ahead 2-1 as we move on to inning number 6 at Salt River Fields. Two to one. It's like Mike Dunn's now on the mound for the Rockies. Sold out. Salt River Fields, as it typically is during spring training. Here's a good look at Mike. He's had a strong spring, Huey.
Yeah, last year, club high 68 relief appearances, 5-1 with the 4.47 ERA, and after the All-Star break, I think Mike found his groove again. He was really good in April, then had the back issue, struggled for a couple months, but then after that got back to being the Mike that you expected with the fastball and the good slider.
Mitch Haniger with the leg kick takes a fastball for a strike. There are multiple changes that we'll tell you about in a moment.
Good luck.
I've already written one name in wrong.
This is where during the regular season, Mike and I really keep track of the changes.
Oh, yeah.
The last day of spring training, not so much.
Not so much.
That was nice bleep coverage there. People who know both as you well aren't buying that. Of course, in my case, they know I'm
right.
Doing it. 2-1 on Haniger. Low 3-1. Mike Tauchman's in center. We're going to start there.
We're going to start there.
Gerardo Parra is still in left because he gets another AB.
And Chris is still behind the plate.
Chris Ionetta is still behind the plate. And that's fair ball into the left field corner. Haniger is going to have his second double of the game. And then it'll be Scott Service's opportunity to start pinch running guys. Haniger's going to come out. All right, you ready for some of the defensive changes? Danny Edgeworth is in at third, Anthony Phillips at short, Carlos Herrera at second, Ryan McMahon, who right now looks like Ryan McMahon's going to break with the club. Nothing official yet. Tachman, as we said, is in center field, and Tyler Bugner is in right field.
Whoopsie.
And Billy Cook, who came in the game for Haniger.
Just going to get to that. Billy Cook moves up on the dirt ball there, Micah. What can you tell us about Billy Cook?
Great awareness. Saw that ball in the dirt and took off right away, Drew. How about that?
That was great. You didn't miss a beat there on old Billy. His good buddies call him Willie, from what I understand. Cookie.
How much longer will minor league camp go this year, since the guys are taking off early? They have a couple more weeks down here, don't they?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Is it? Now,
think
that's a great question. When did the season start?
It starts the 5th.
The 5th?
So
Thursday.
an extra
next week. So they'll break camp next weekend, next Sunday.
In the air to Tachman. This will get the run home. So Ryan Healy does his job. 2-2.
Well, a lot of the minor league teams too are going through some of the things that the big leaguers had to go through. Some guys are getting released, guys are getting sent down, so that pushes everybody else down a level. And a lot of changes going on there. Their rosters haven't been set yet.
Daniel Vogelback a single, and he fouled out to Ian Desmond at first. 3 on the right side. And that's a strike on the outside corner. 2 strikes to count on Vogelback.
I know for the Mariners, it's been over the last 5 days, 5, 6, 7 days, that a lot of guys, you mentioned being released, but also being sent back down. And that pushes everybody else down another level. So you may think that you're going to make the AAA team, and then something happens up here, and that changes everything for you. Well, that's been going on.
1-2, and that's called strike. So Dunn freezes Vogelback for the second out. And here comes Buddy. We'll step aside. Another pitching change coming for the Rockies. 2-2. We're in the 6th.
At the Lexus Command Performance Sales
2-2 in the desert. Final day of spring training 2018. Drew Goodman, Mike Blowers from Seattle's side of things, and Jeff Houston from the Rockies side of things. 2 outs. The Mariners have tied up the score. A double by Mitch Haniger. Ryan Healy, after a pinch runner, Mr. Cook, moved up. Healy delivered him with a sac fly. Brian Shaw is going to be asked to get the last out of the 6th inning. He'll face Guillermo Heredia. Shaw's a guy that, Mike, you are very familiar with from his outstanding work in Cleveland the last several years.
Good fastball, durable. A lot of the things that you like about a reliever. That's him.
79 appearances last year for Cleveland.
In fact, the last 5 years, he has the most appearances of any guy in baseball. 2-0. Heredia has reached via a walk, and he was also hit by a 1-2 pitch. And he has himself a base hit. Tuffy Goswich will be the hitter here. His first at bat. He came in straight up for Mike Margema. Lost that battle with Margema for the backup spot.
That was an interesting spring to watch who was going to be the backup catcher, and Tuffy was there right to the end. But Margema, just a terrific spring, swinging the bat. And also go over and play some first base if you need him to. But a pretty good athlete overall with the way that he was swinging, especially the last week. There's not a whole lot you could do about it. He really played well and played his way onto the team. So for Tuffy, that's tough.
It's tough, but you can also look at it like maybe I didn't lose it. He just won it. I mean, I know you're disappointed.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
That you didn't make it, but it's not like, well, you know, we both hit, you know, 250, 275 for the spring. He just tore it up and, you know, had a little bit better spring.
Like I said, especially over the last week, he really swung the bat well. He swung the bat well again today.
Mike Zunino will be the everyday guy behind the plate. Mike had a huge spring.
He's really done.
Trying to build off the second half that he had last year.
After he came back up.
Yeah.
Mike almost hit 400 this spring.
That was some damage. 25 home runs last year.
He's finally settled in, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's finally to a point where he's comfortable mechanically with what he's trying to do. Made some adjustments last year in season, which is not an easy thing to do when you're fighting to keep your job. But it all kind of clicked together for him, and he came to spring training this year with a lot of confidence. And you were talking about the numbers he put up this spring. I think that's the hope for him because he's so talented and he's such a good defensive player. Offensively, he has that kind of power that you just don't see a lot of guys have.
He really lengthens your lineup too.
And he went with the leg kick.
He's more, he's standing more upright, narrow, and then he has the leg kick, keep his weight back. And when the barrel's coming through the hitting area, you can hear it.
Brian Shaw with a strikeout to end the inning. The Mariners scratch out a run, so we're tied at 2.
health together. By Safeco Insurance. Find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. And by your Western Washington Honda dealers. Visit your local Honda dealer. It's the main event at Safeco Field this April, folks. Friday, April 13th is Ben Gamel Cap Night. First 15,000 fans will receive this one-of-a-kind cap that features the long locks of the Mariners outfielders. Go to mariners.com for tickets.
Here's the deal on the final day of spring training. The Rockies have 2 runs, the Mariners have 2 runs, and they will not play extra innings. We know that because we think we know that. With Mike Blowers and Jeff Houston, I'm Drew Goodman. We go to the dugout right now because Mike Dunn, who was just pitching, has been kind enough to pop a headset on. And Mike was talking all about hockey, being from Vegas now. You were excited about your Knights beating the Avalanche yesterday. Yeah, you got it done. Seriously, that's a great story. I know we're talking hockey for 30 seconds. That's a great story. An expansion club who's become one of the elite teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it's a great atmosphere. You know, awesome team. The city's really rallied behind them, and you know, they're a lot of fun to watch.
How many games did you catch?
I'm a season ticket holder, so all of them whenever I was home. I think I ended up right around 16, 17.
That's a good number.
So, yeah,
that's a good number. Gerardo, it's it back to Altavella. Hey, how do you feel, man? You ready to go?
I feel great. Yeah, spring training went great. Arm, body, everything feels good right now, and just get that last one out of the way to head for season.
Well, when you look at this bullpen and the guys you've added, even though you've been around forever, there's still stuff you can learn from veteran players.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, it doesn't matter how many years you got in the big leagues. If you're not trying to get better, if you're not trying to learn from everybody around you, you're not doing yourself justice. You're not doing your team justice.
Sorry about laughing there, but you got a seed shower.
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't miss a beat. That's a veteran move right there.
You know who did that, right?
Probably Parra.
No, it wasn't.
Shaw.
Yeah, there
Shaw.
you go.
How quickly have you guys been able to gain the chemistry that you want to have as you guys, and a lot of these guys, you've been around a long time, Mike, but you had a couple of new pieces, obviously, in Davis and Shaw in particular.
Yeah, we're locker mates in the clubhouse, so we're constantly talking to each other, getting to know each other, and, you find, your little niches with each other and stuff like that, and, it's fun just picking those guys' brains and just learning a little bit more about them and, about their craft.
Fans ask all the time, when they look at spring training games, and maybe they'll look at a starting pitcher and his numbers are not great. And with veteran guys as announcers, we always, we kind of repeat what managers say, what you guys say as players, that you're working on something. Is that across the board true typically of guys that know they're going to be on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, you're coming in, you know how to prepare for the season. It's kind of like for me personally, my first outing, try to be right around 88, 90. If I hit 90 one time, I'm happy. I'm right where I need to be, and you don't want to have your velocity too soon, and you're trying to work on certain aspects of your game to get better, and it's not trying to go out there as if you're mid-season ready. First spring training game, you're just slowly work your way into it, and you just ramp it up as the spring training goes on, you ramp it up the closer you get to season.
And Mike, again, you've been around for a while. You've been on some good clubs. Last year was a terrific season as the Rockies made a big step forward. How would you characterize what the mood of this club is right now as you embark on 2018 with high expectations?
Excited. We got bad taste in our mouth from last year. We got pretty much our entire group back, with the exception of a couple changes, and great changes. The guys we brought in have been awesome. The chemistry's great, and we got something to play for. Everyone's got another year under their belt, a little bit more experience, and we look to do better this year.
So when you go back to Chase Field on Thursday after losing there last year, what's that going to be like when you go into the clubhouse, or is this going to be washed away and it's a new year?
You use it to kind of fuel you a little bit, but once you get there, it's opening day, it's go time. We got a whole new 162 coming ahead of us, and it's bear down, focus on that day, win that game that day, and don't worry about anything else.
Hey, Mike, last one. We'll let you jump on this one. You were one of the guys that kind of started this recent trend, which, quite frankly, had never happened before. Pitchers raising their hand to sign at Coors Field and play for the Rockies. As you know, that was not something that occurred in the past. And now you've seen, you have some buddies who've done the same thing, and Wade Davis, who had options, Brian Shaw, who had options.
Yeah, you know, Jake McGee had options as well, and they definitely wanted to come back. And you know, it's great to see, you know, and that's, you know, given this organization props for the team that they put together, the depth that we have, the talent that they have. And you know, when you're playing against these guys, you see it and you want to be part of it, and you hear all the good things about the organization and you want to be part of it. And you know, now it's our time to go out there and, you know, prove that we're a good team.
Absolutely. Hey, Mike, appreciate it. Best of luck. Stay well.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
Thanks,
all right,
Mike.
Mike Dodd. And a new pitcher is in for the Seattle Mariners. 2 outs from Altavella. Is it Koval? Michael Koval?
Koval.
Koval.
Dan had a strong spring, and he looked good again today. His fastball, I would imagine, was in the upper 90s with a pretty hard slider this afternoon. Retire a couple of batters, turn it over to Michael.
First at bat for Mike Tauchman, who, Huey, looks like he may have made the Rockies opening day roster. Quick changes, Taylor, we mentioned Koval. Motter goes from third to first, and Cookie is in right field.
Well, Tauchman hit .345 in the spring, a home run, 5 RBIs. You know, he was battling with one of those reserve outfield spots with a few other guys, and you know, it's again, it comes down to how does the roster construct? What, you know, everybody's going to have strengths and weaknesses, you know, but where does he fit? And for Mike, you know, I just think his ability to maybe steal a base late in a ball game is going to be a huge advantage for the Rockies.
2-2 as we go to the 7th. Back in the desert, the Rockies 2 and the Mariners 2 as we go to the top of the 7th inning. And Tony Walters is behind the plate. He's going to catch Chris Russin here. Tyler Bugner's moved from right to left. Cole Anderson is in the ball game in right field for the Rockies. And stepping up for the Mariners is Andrew Romine. There's Russin. He was great last year, led the National League in innings pitched out of the bullpen, and he's been great in the spring. The Swiss Army knife, and a breaking pitch swung on and missed.
How many guys last year, Drew? Were there 5, maybe 7 guys that pitched in every inning, 1 through 9?
And then also extra innings. Yeah, it's just a handful.
And Chris, obviously, one of those guys.
There's a changeup he turns over. This will be the final half inning that we get to work with Mike Blowers. We do this on an annual basis, a couple times, 2 or 3 times in the spring with our brethren up in Seattle. And good news is we'll get to see each other a couple times this year.
I think we should keep that on the schedule every year.
Yeah. You know what, too, we're biased, and I love the city of Seattle.
Yep.
And you're from there. This 2 of the prettiest cities in America. So we both get to see them this year. One out as Romine is retired. Both interesting divisions, Mike. Honestly, the NL West is loaded, and the AL West with the defending champs in there.
Right.
You guys, Texas
improved.
Angels,
Yeah.
improved. I
Yeah.
mean, you could point at every team. Oakland, every team. You say they're better. Here's when the two clubs will be hooking up in early July in Seattle, and then a week later, a return engagement at Coors Field.
I was talking to Scott Service today before the ball game. He was pretty excited that Seattle was going to be ending the first half at Coors Field.
Does he still own a home?
Yeah, just down south. So
Okay.
he's going to be able to then
Be
take
home.
off after the game on Sunday, be home in about 30-40 minutes.
I hadn't thought about that. That's a nice break for him.
Taylor Motter off the end of the bat. Houston clearly the team to beat in the division. How do you see it? How would you assess the other three clubs?
It's interesting because I think that and Houston is a young team too, so they're not going anywhere.
Sure.
By the way, so everybody in the American League West is aware of that. The Angels, I think so many times when you look at what teams have done, and the Angels I think have improved. It's really going to come down to pitching for them where they're at. I think more than anything, if they can stay healthy, which was an issue for the Mariners last year, they're both kind of crossing their fingers, hoping that those guys can stay healthy for the most part. If they do, I think they'll be pretty good. They have a deeper lineup now, so the Angels are pretty good. The A's I'm really not too sure about and what direction they're going. And they ended up losing some pieces. One of them, Ryan Healy, who's now going to play first base for the Mariners. So we'll see where they're at. And again, for the Mariners, it comes down to the health of their pitching across the board. And the good news is Felix is going to make the opener. Then, of course, Paxton after that. So you have a pretty good 1-2, and Mike Leake, of course, a year away.
Yeah, that is going to be a really interesting division. Rockies making a pitching change. We'll tell you about it when we come back. This game of the Cactus League, Rockies and Mariners, 2-2 with 2 outs in the 7th inning, and Matt Pierpont will be asked to get the final out here in the top of the 7th inning. Ichiro is going to get a 4th at bat. He's 0 for 2 and a walk. Batting leadoff today, and health has been a concern. Top of the broadcast, Mike Blauer said that he's been battling a little bit of a calf.
Yep.
He's been running around well, and he got hit in the back of the head recently, but by all indications at 44, he looks like he does at 24. He looks good.
Yeah, he looks good, and that's the first thing I wanted to see today was to watch him run around. He did play in a minor league game yesterday. I think he had 6 or 7 at bats. Ended up 1 for 5 in that game. But I wanted to see him go in and out of the outfield. But this will probably be it for him for this afternoon.
Look out, 4 guys converge, and it's McMahon who makes the catch. We want to say goodbye to Mike Blowers. He's got to do a little radio and then get to the plane as the Mariners will be heading north to Seattle. Best of luck, partners.
Great seeing you guys. Yeah,
you bet.
See you in July, Huey.
All right,
see you,
man.
bud. Yeah, thanks for everything. Appreciate it.
You betcha. Always good to see Mike, and make sure Huey, when we get together in Seattle, buys. He still owes you from '87.
That's right. I haven't forgotten that.
No way. Whitney made him meals all the time.
That's a good point. Tell her I said hello, by the way.
You got it. All right, we will. Are we stepping aside? I don't even know what we're doing anymore. We still going to commercial break? I'm looking at this camera.
It's been that kind of day.
Is that we are going to commercial break. Thanks, Allison. I appreciate it. Allison Behill, our producer. See you. We'll be back. At the plate, he fouled off the first delivery from Koval, and that pitch is inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Rockies 2 and the Mariners 2 as the Rockies hit the bottom of the 7th inning. Rockies started what I'm sure will be their opening day lineup, with the only exception being the starting pitcher. John Gray will pitch the opener. Chad Bettis threw today and threw the ball well, but it was Blackman, LeMahieu, Arenado, Story, Cargo, Desmond, Parra, Chris Iannetta. Michael Koval with a 1-2 count on Ryan McMahon. We talked about Ryan earlier. It looks like, nothing official, but it looks like he's going to make the club. That was always a tough decision for management, because you got a guy that projects as a impactful starter at some point in time. And when the Rockies brought Cargo back, there was a trickle effect. Desmond, who was getting a lot of time in the outfield initially in spring training, moved back to first base to accommodate Cargo, and that's going to be highway robbery. Man, that's a great play. Even with the shift on, that was well hit. And I want to credit that young man, but I got to find out who he is first. That's a great play, 83.
It's Morales. Got a slide. Makes a strong throw to first base.
You want to know why you call him Morales? Because, folks, his first name is J-H-O-M-B-E-Y-K-E-R. Baker. I'm saying the J silent. I'm going with Baker. Baker Morales. Baker Morales. Up from minor league camp. Great play.
That's a very good play. Yeah, but to go back to what you were talking about a moment ago, Drew, since Desi has not played the outfield or started out there since March 6th when Cargo was signed.
Yep. Anthony Phillips swings and misses. First at bat for Anthony. He scored the Rockies' second run when he ran for DJ, who doubled. So very quickly, the starters today offensively. Charlie had a triple and scored in the first inning. He was 1 for 3. DJ had an RBI ground out and then a pair of doubles, one to right, one to extreme left center. Nolan was 0 for 3, a couple fly balls and a ground out. Trevor Story had a couple of singles and an RBI. He was 2 for 3. Cargo was 1 for 3, including a line out. He's swung the bat effectively. Ian Desmond 0 for 3. Gerardo Parra was 1 for 3 at an infield hit. Chris Iannetta 0 for 2 and a walk. First AB for Tony Walters. And with Tom Murphy being sent down to AAA earlier today, it looks like Tony will be the backup catcher to Chris Iannetta.
Yeah, the two moves that we know for sure are Tom Murphy going down and also Ramil Tapia being optioned down to AAA. It's never easy for a manager, general manager. They have conversations every day about the construction of their lineup, but you know, you also develop relationships with these guys. You know, at the end of the day, I know it's a business, but you're also human beings. So it's hard when you have to call guys in that have been up with you before, and maybe you've had a great camp, just don't make it, and you have to call them in. But I think the one thing that Buddy tries to instill in these guys is, just like a lot of managers, is it's going to take more than 25 guys. So make sure you're ready and you're doing your thing down there in case an injury happens. We need somebody that Glenn Allen Hill could say, yeah, he's doing everything that was asked of him when he was sent down.
And it's always the case. I mean, it takes a bunch of guys to finish a major league season, and more importantly, where you want to, with the Rockies, where they want to go, it's going to take a bunch of guys coming in and being major league ready to help win important ball games at different parts of this season. 3-2 on Tony, and that's sharply hit, a base hit.
And I just think that's where this organization is at right now, with the depth is so valuable, because you got some young guys pushing the envelope that they're saying, I'm ready, but they're real young, but it's not like they're overwhelmed.
And you also, to your point, Huey, you got some young guys experienced, not quite at the big league level, but in spring training around big leaguers for a good period of time. That's a great play. Wow. Carlos Herrera, robbed by Motter at first. Two great plays by Seattle defensively. To the 8th week. Two apiece as we go to the top of the 8th inning, and Matt Pierpont, who got the final out of the 7th inning, will continue on. Rockies have not made any more changes defensively, but all the starters are long gone this afternoon. Rockies will get a workout at Chase Field tomorrow, and then Thursday night they'll open up. Huey, you spent a long time in the big leagues. You had, I'm assuming more often than not, opening day was during the day. Do you recall any night games for your opener? And
no.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Yeah, that's because I was thinking about it. It's a little different.
Yeah. I mean, typically it's 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then of course it doesn't matter down here with the dome, but you would have a day off the next day.
Right.
Just in case there was that rain out, snow out, cold out.
It's the shortstop, Zach Vinci. My guess is, and this is a complete guess, that Arizona, since it was a Thursday and not a Friday with the schedule change, wanting to maximize naturally opening day, decided to have a night game instead of a day game. That is fair. That is ripped down the left field line. Buckner will throw it in, a double for Vinci.
Oh, sinker down and in. He clears that front side, just ropes it down the line about a foot fair.
Billy Cook's going to hit.
It's kind of interesting because we're Rockies and the Mariners are playing right now. I just looked up. We've got a TV up in our booth, and we have it on the Arizona-Cleveland game. So both clubs, they're going to play their opponent, are matching up right now at Chase Field.
And you know who's on the hill for Arizona? Jorge De La Rosa. This ball's hit the deep center, and Tauchman makes a nice catch.
Versatility for Mike. Being able to play all 3 outfield positions, a break on the ball.
Logan Taylor's going to come up next for Seattle.
Rockies will get some work on the infield end.
Good breaking ball. Why don't you take people through the different depths that infielders in the middle play with?
Well, yeah, obviously you start most of the time infield back. That's just your number 1 depth. Number 2 depth is the double play depth. Number 3 is halfway, where you're not all the way in on the grass. And of course, number 4 is infield all the way in when it have to cut that runoff.
Which they're in right now.
Yeah. So that's how it goes. So you can just look into the dugout, and the infield instructor, in case for the Rockies, is Stu Cole. He'll just put up the number 3, number 4, whatever he wants you to play.
Did you do any of the stuff at any time in your career that was popularized by Tony La Russa, where the guys would charge?
Not really. I just feel like if you're running hard as the pitch is being delivered, how do you go side to side? I know you don't, even in infield in, it's still a step or maybe a dive is all you get, but it's really hard to change direction.
That would be an emphatic no.
Exactly. Long-winded way to say no.
3-1.
And because infield in, you're just hoping that they hit it right at you anyway.
And that misses ball 4. So Taylor goes down to first. Daniel Vogelback still in there. He's going to get the swing the bat here. Designated hitter this afternoon. And he'll be the designated hitter a fair amount of the time when the season gets going, it looks like.
I think Mike touched on it, just like any club. If Seattle stays away from the injuries, they got
talent.
They're very talented.
I think one of the key guys for Seattle, honestly, is Chris Leak, because if King Felix isn't the same guy, but smart, still very gifted. Paxton we've bragged on throughout the broadcast. That number 3 starter, Marco Gonzalez, who pitched today and I thought threw the ball pretty well.
Yes, he did.
That's such a big key to any rotation. How does your middle of the rotation operate? Are they better more often than not than the other middle guys that you're matched up with? And then, as you said, for any team, you can say health. And there's certain key guys for Seattle that have some mileage on them, let's be honest. Nelson Cruz, late 30s. Robbie Cano, deep into his 30s. Great players.
Yes.
But can they stay on the field?
Right. With Seattle and a lot of teams in the American League, they do have that luxury that you give the guy a day off, you still have that ability to DH him to keep their bat in the lineup. Scott in his 3rd year managing the Mariners.
This ball is blasted to center field, and it is gone. 3-run home run for Daniel Vogelback. That thing was crushed. And for Vogelback, that is his 7th home run of the spring. That's a bunch.
That's huge. To the right of the 410 sign and almost straight away center field, just a little off center. Oh, he got the arms extended. He knew it as soon as he hit it. Those home run hitters, they know. They've hit enough of them. That puts the Mariners up 5-2.
Demas Ojeda is at the plate. He takes outside. Two 2-0 on Ojeda with 1 out. Now 3-0. That's in there, 3-1. And ball 4. All right, earlier we were talking about all the prep standouts in Colorado. And
yes.
The fact that a few years ago, 46 kids had signed D1 scholarships out of the state. And that doesn't include guys who may transfer to a D1 out of a junior college or a D2 or that sort of thing. Well, our man Wayne Dolan, who's a scout for the Rockies and does an outstanding job running the Rockies scout team in the fall and Diamond Club in the summer. Wayne is a good friend of both of ours, checked in. He said right now there are 28 D1 commits in this particular senior class.
Well, I think it goes to the point you were making, just the amount of talent for Colorado in baseball.
Yep.
So many good players, and not just D1. I mean, all the D2 players. That's great baseball.
Well, the RMAC has some outstanding D2 teams led by Colorado Mesa, the Mavericks.
Dave Hadjic doing a pretty nice number with UCCS down in the Springs in his second year.
Yeah, they're terrific. Joe Strain, son Ryan Strain, is now at Metro State, took over their program.
Troy Rink's son's at UCCS.
He is, yep, left-handed pitcher.
Keep playing. They'll find you.
That's right. This ball's well hit to left field, and it's tracked down out there by Bugman.
Good break on the baseball. That ball was struck pretty hard. Toughie.
Well, we got a pronunciation. John Baker Morales is the young man's name who made that fine play at second. He's coming up to bat, but we're going to get another pitching change. 3-run home run a couple of moments ago by Vogelback, and the Mariners are out front 5-2. Mariners leading the Rockies. Did you happen to catch this on Twitter today, Huey? I know you're a big fan of Twitter. Get a lot of our information from Twitter. Real and fabricated. Mookie Betts, this is real.
Yeah,
Mookie Betts was mic'd up today by ESPN. And he's talking to, you can do this during spring training. He's talking to the guys in the booth while he's playing center field, and they're having an ongoing conversation. They did that during the All-Star games, remember, last year, right? Well, a ball gets crushed, and Mookie goes, "I ain't getting this one, boys," as he's running back to dead center field.
as he's running after.
He's doing his own color commentary. Snap throw, and that's going to result in an out. Nice job by Tony Walters as he caught Ojeda too far off first base. That will end that inning. He ain't getting the second there. on a Daniel Vogelback 3-run home run last half inning. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, Mike Blowers has moved on to get ready for Seattle's opener on Thursday at home against Cleveland. Drew Goodman, Jeff Hewson. And Matt Walker is now pitching for Seattle. Jorge Solano is in left field for the Mariners. So Ichiro is out of the game. And this pitch is hit to Morales, 1 out.
It's only fitting on the last spring training game of the year that it was a sellout. 13,835.
Sellout, big crowd on Sunday. Rockies and Cubs played on Saturday night over at Sloan Park in Tempe. And that night, the Cubs drew just under 17,000. It was the second largest Cactus League crowd ever. Danny Edgeworth at the plate.
Danny was in Boise last year.
If you're in Boise or Grand Junction and you get to play in a big league game the next year in spring training, that's pretty cool stuff.
303 in Boise.
And that's a pretty good swing.
There you go.
Got himself a base knock. The two short A teams for the Rockies are Grand Junction and Boise, and typically the younger players, the high school signs, the players coming over from Latin America as teenagers, they'll play in Grand Junction. Yes. A lot of the college signees, the guys that are a little bit older, will go to Boise.
Well, and there's some age requirements in both of those leagues. That's why they kind of work it that way. Because you don't want somebody that's going to be overmatched right out of the gate. It's tough enough just learning how to play every day coming out of high school or college. And I know for the Mariners, they have a team up in Everett in the Northwest League, the Aqua Sox.
Blown up bat. Cole Anderson will get thrown out at first by a stride. 2 outs.
So we were talking to Mike before he left off air, talking about Everett with all the injuries that the Mariners had last year and the guys being called up for Scott Service and his club from AAA. Their closest affiliate was Everett from Tacoma. So you would get a lot of kids that were pitching in rookie ball or short season A that would have to go pitch in AAA for them just to be able to make a spot that night on their staff.
Wow. That's quite a jump.
Yes. So their AAA manager, Pat Listash, sometimes just say, just give me a body.
Joey Bartosik is pinch hitting, and he drives a base hit up the middle, and he's going to get himself an RBI as he drives in Edgeworth. Good swing.
That's what you want to be, too. You be aggressive. Go up there hacking. And he did. The elevated fastball about belt high and ripped it right back up the middle.
So Mike Tauchman gives the Rockies a lot of versatility in the outfield, with the ability to run. Looks like he's made the opening day roster. He gets his second at bat. His first at bat was a pop-up on the infield. A nice running catch a couple innings ago in center field.
You know, and I've had some people ask me, well, why haven't they announced the roster yet and what's going on? Well, they still have time. It doesn't officially have to be in, I think, even maybe tomorrow or Thursday, but things can happen between now and then. You hope they don't.
Pretty close play.
Meaning injury-wise.
Yes.
You know, so that's why nothing's official yet.
Yeah, the one I was alluding to earlier when we were having this discussion with Mike Blowers, was the year that Garrett Atkins got hurt in the workout.
Right.
He got hurt in the workout, but before open, that's tomorrow when, you know, you take an infield, outfield, BP on the field as you do every day before you don't always take infield before every game, but I mean, it's just getting familiar with that ballpark again, wherever you're opening up, and every team does it. And Garrett Atkins got hurt. I think it was that day, right?
Yeah,
because Jeff Baker ended up starting.
Right. Was it a hammy or something? And then the Baker ends up making the ball club. And that's my point, is it doesn't have to be official until that time that's set by Major League Baseball. And so that's why you wait. I was telling you the story of myself off air. My last year, we opened up over in Japan when I was with the Cubs. So I found out I mean, I had a pretty good idea since they took me on the flight. But the GM came back as we're over the Pacific Ocean and telling me as long as nothing happens these next couple days, you're on the team. Oh, what a running catch.
That is one heck of a grab out there by Billy Cook.
Billy showing off today.
He took probably a triple away from Tauchman, who's still at third base. Tauchman didn't know it was caught. He's standing at third base looking back, and now he's watching on the video board. He said, "You kidding me?" Mike, you'll take that catch now. Then this weekend, hopefully you elude the fielder. By Billy Cook to steal extra bases a moment ago from Mike Tauchman. The Rockies are on to their 10th pitcher of the afternoon, Scott McGuff.
Well, Scott was signed as a minor league free agent back in November. Split some time last year between Norfolk and Bowie Bay Sox, Orioles AA affiliate.
Pretty good numbers. This was a nice sign.
It was. In Norfolk, he was 2-1 with a 386 in AAA in 13 ball games, and then Bowie, 1-3, but a 1.95 ERA. Low minor league ERA, 3.48 for his career. Signed out of the University of Oregon.
And we're talking about the good programs in the Pacific Northwest. Tyler Anderson, who will pitch Game 2 of the season out of the University of Oregon. Morales swings at the first pitch, and this is high in the air on the right side of the playing surface. Caught out there by Cole Anderson, 1 out. Taylor Motter will come up. Rockies have a new catcher. Kyle Cunningham's in the game. Motter takes a ball. Tell you what, my man Bob, you know, normally we have a statistician. In spring training, you don't really need a statistician. What you need is a spotter. And Bob's our spotter throughout spring training. And he has done yeoman work today. There's Bob.
Hey, Bob.
There's Bob. That's a great job, Bob. You didn't know you were going to have to go to makeup today, did you?
You have a spotter for football, I know that. but never for baseball.
Never for baseball, unless
it's
spring
the
training
last game of spring
especially
training.
the last game of the year. Motters played the whole game. Was it an unspoken rule? I ask you this every year in the last spring training game. Was it an unspoken rule, or was it ever verbalized? Do not be working the count deep.
Oh, it was verbalized. The veteran guys verbalized it to the young guys.
Be
okay,
aggressive.
You had a chance early in camp, middle of the camp, not the last day of camp.
Let's not show everybody what a great eye you have today.
Right. So people say that, though, but when you get in the box, kind of that all goes out the window, and you're just focused on
taking your at-bat.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to play all 9 in the final spring training game?
No.
Motter now officially has had the longest AB of this ball game. He's been up there for 47 seconds.
Talking about Chris Russin being the jack of all trades for the Rockies on their staff. Motter's that guy for the Mariners.
Plays everywhere.
Plays everywhere and plays it well.
Be a tough play because Motter runs decent. He's going to be out though this time by a step and a half. That's pitched by McDuff. That was like the old Maple bats blowing up, right?
Yes. Those old Maple bats, I'm glad they kind of went away from those just because of that. They would just disintegrate into a million pieces. That's when it gets dangerous. That barrel coming out at you.
It's a good fastball. Jorge Solano at the plate. He swings and misses. Well, both the Rockies and Diamondbacks, we always talk about what a beautiful facility it is. And we're not being gratuitous. I mean, this thing is the gem of all spring training facilities in baseball. The Dodgers, you know, they have a nice one over in Glendale. They share with the White Sox, but this is the penthouse. The strikeout happens, and both of these organizations utilize this quite a bit during the regular season. The Rockies, in preparation for their draft in June, they'll have all their guys down here working out of Salt River Fields.
We live in one
As we have arrived at the bottom of the 9th inning, the final half inning for spring training in 2018. We want to say a big thank you to all of you, naturally, for watching throughout spring training, but to our great crew down here in Phoenix. It's our dress rehearsals to get ready for opening day and 150 broadcasts. We have a great crew down here in North Scottsdale, so we appreciate all their work. And the truck headed up by our producer Allison Vigil and our director Erica Ferraro. One hopper to short right field, and he tried to lay down a bunt, tried to be a little too fine with it.
Yeah. Well, when they're in the shift and playing over, you don't have to be, what I always say, fair or foul on the first one, because there's just get it and play towards third base.
McMahon behind 0-2. Well, Ryan came out, and if in fact he's on the opening day roster, and by all indications it looks that way, he hit his way onto the club. Hit well over 300 this spring with some damage. And I thought he showed a real good comfort level defensively at first base.
Well, and defensively, offensively, I thought he found his comfort level too as a ball player, compared from last September when we saw him up for the first time to where he's at now, and that feeling that you get that I belong up here. I'm on par with these other guys. But I think one of the great things, and I saw an interview with Ryan too, was last year when he came up in September, one of the great things that he learned was watching Nolan do his work every day. How to do that. I think that's something that every player, young player, should take note of. You know, how the veteran guys work. What do they do?
What's it look like?
Yeah, what to make them so, because for the superstars, it's not just all easy. You know, I remember playing with Ken Griffey Jr. and watching him go about his business, and it was fun. It was like, wow, I thought he's just a great hitter. He worked at it every single day, early batting practice. It's not just show up and I'm better than everybody else. No, I mean, that Junior was, but there was a lot of work behind the scenes.
Yep, that much better once you throw that work ethic in also. 2-2. And that's strike 3. McMahon knew it. 1 out. And that'll bring up Anthony Phillips. So again, if you missed it, the Rockies did announce today, Buddy this morning said his first 3 pitchers in that opening series against the Diamondbacks about 25 minutes from here at Chase Field will be John Gray in the opener, Tyler Anderson in game 2 against Robbie Ray. Patrick Corbin, another lefty, will go in game 1 for Arizona, and then it looks like it will be Zach Greinke in game 3 for Arizona. This ball's well hit to center field. Caught out there by Cook. A nice game defensively.
A nice game.
Herman Marquez will pitch game 3 for the Rockies. So it'll be Gray, Anderson, Marquez.
Well, and the way it works out too, because I haven't got official confirmation yet, but they'll use that off day and just give everybody an extra day. So Marquez then looks like he would line up for the home opener at Coors Field on Friday, April 6th.
This is Kyle Cunningham with 2 outs, getting his first at bat. Third catcher used this afternoon by Buddy Black. And he hits it right back to the pitcher. And that is all for spring training 2018. The next time you witness the Rockies and the Mariners, they'll be playing for real, as they say. The Mariners will open up against Cleveland at home. The Rockies, they'll just, as we said, go across town and get ready to take on the Diamondbacks inside the division at Chase Field. Huey, it's been fun. It's been interesting. The expectations are extremely high.
And that's great. Yeah, you want expectations, and for the Rockies, that's what they have. I know the Mariners, their expectations are high as well. Let's go, though. I'm ready for regular season to begin. Just like the players.
I think everybody is. It is go time, folks. We'll talk to you on Thursday night. For Jeff Houston, Mike Blowers, and our entire crew, Drew Goodman saying thank you for joining us and good afternoon from Salt River Fields in Scottsdale. Good luck to the Mariners. Good luck to the Rockies this year.